the magician in the world of Doraemon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226 Promise. Yu and Dazzy pointed at Freya and said, "First of all, we didn't make any attacking moves, but your crew attacked us first." Liang shouted unwillingly, "That's because you invaded illegally." Yu and Dazzy immediately glared back, "We invaded illegally? Then who allowed you to enter the earth? Did you get the consent of the United Government?" Liang kept silent about this matter. He really had nothing to say. Besides, who agreed to take away these plants, soil and our daily necessities? Did you ask anyone for their opinion? Xiaoshan also came out with a game box of the Great Voyage of the Universe. Yu and Dazzy took it and continued to argue with them. "This classmate and I were playing games in the game box. You brought us to this universe inexplicably, and you said we invaded illegally?" The Avildoa complained first. After saying that, Yu and Dazzy smashed the game box on his head. Seeing that this was not conducive to communication, Xiaoshan said to him, "Dazzy, you should calm down by yourself." Seeing that the beating was almost over and the talk was enough, he turned around and stood aside. "Oh, by the way, it's better not to let me hear the word barbarian again. If I hear this word again, I will rob your spaceship and fly back myself." This request was not made by him, but by the soul-devouring monument. "How dare these guys call us barbarians? Kill him and do what barbarians should do." This was the original words of the soul-devouring monument just now. Because the demon tribe does not pay much attention to technology, most demons are half naked. Therefore, the people and things of the demon tribe are very sensitive to the word barbarian. "Okay, Dazzy, you should be quiet for a while." Xiaoshan could only weakly condemn it. "Doraemon, take the universal medicine box to check on Korokoro's condition first, and I will negotiate with them again." Doraemon nodded and took out the medicine box from his pocket to check his physical condition. Yu and Dazzy leaned against the wall, thinking about the battle just now. This guy's strength is really good. He has almost half the strength of a earth-splitting bull when he is underage. He should have the strength of a bull when he grows up. Could he be related to the demon race? Yu and Dazzy began to search for information about the demon race and really found a similar species, Dijiang. Could these two guys have any blood relationship? He looked at the appearance of Dijiang in the Sea of Consciousness, which was 50% similar to Korokoro here, and said casually in his heart. Seeing that they had no intention of continuing to fight, the people on the boat could only choose peace first. And the cause of the incident was indeed because Freya took things randomly, and they were in the wrong. Finally, under Xiaoshan's negotiation, they agreed to send everyone back to Earth. "Yeah. Great, we can go back." Xiaofu jumped up happily, but Yu and Dazzy found that Freya, the little thing, was gone. He immediately felt a warning sign, remembering that there seemed to be a traitor in the original work. As expected, just as they reached an agreement, Eluoje hurried over to report a bad news. "It's bad. Our super time and space jump navigation device has a problem." Regarding this matter, Yu and Dazzy's first reaction was that Freya did it. But he had no evidence, so he kept silent for the time being. The group came to the cockpit, and Eluoje began to explain the situation to them. "It may be that the device has a problem due to the impact of the cosmic storm just now." Fat Tiger hurriedly asked, "Then if there is no such device, how long will it take us to go back?" Beep. "According to the calculation of the voyage, it will take 60 million years." Beep. "What? 60 million years?" Everyone collapsed when they heard this number. "It's so far, why go back? Just float here for the rest of your life." "Don't worry." Liang saw that their emotions were not stable and hurriedly comforted them. "Just find a place to repair the navigation device." Hearing this news, everyone's hanging hearts were slightly relieved. Yu and Dazzy still stood by and didn't say anything, and Liang also breathed a sigh of relief. "Freya, check the surrounding area first to see where it's more suitable to land." Then he turned his head and looked at Xiaoshan and Doraemon. "Has Korokoro not woken up yet?" Doraemon took the ointment and wiped the sweat off Pan's face. He was beaten a bit seriously. "It should take some time." Hey, are you saying that I didn't hit him hard enough? Yeah, and as he was unhappy at the time. What does it mean to be beaten a bit seriously? When he hits someone, it should only be divided into two situations, dead and alive. Yeah, and as he went over, and a green light flashed on his hand, and fell on his head. Young warrior, when you are cheated, you will become stronger. The rejuvenation technique quickly healed his injuries, and everyone was puzzled by what he said just now. Daisuke-kun, what do you mean by being cheated just now? Yeah, and as he waved his hand expressionlessly, motioning him to come closer. Zyadishin put his ear close to him expectantly. You are still young, and don't need to know what it means. In this case, can't you just say it openly? The others didn't know what he said, but Ziofu and the others immediately thought of the last time the Sun King happened. Yeah, and as you really still have the power of the Sun God, right? Yeah, and as he nodded and admitted it. Yes, in order to thank me for helping Dio become the king, the Sun God allowed me to use the power. Nobita was not too surprised, because he already knew it when they fought yesterday. Fat Tiger and the other three were envious, and began to imagine what they could do after having the power. Zyadishin just smiled helplessly. Yeah, and as he was in the open, while Izuku-shan had been hiding himself as their last trump card. The alien who looked a bit like Digi-yang finally woke up and saw everyone surrounding him and immediately wanted to resist. But Liang stopped him. Don't do it. There are some misunderstandings between us. After hearing the captain's words, Korokoro withdrew his hand. Yu and Daisuke also quietly put away the dark blade he had just taken out, and Liang was relieved. He was really worried that the guy would chop his team members with a sword. Luoje, go and explain what happened between us to Korokoro. I still have to operate the spacecraft here. Luoje adjusted his co-pilot seat to automatic feedback, and then left his seat to explain to Korokoro what had just happened. Freya observed the radar and suddenly said, report to the captain, an unexplored planet has been discovered ahead, and we can land there. Liang also discovered the planet. The distance is not very far, and it should be possible to reach it in an hour. Then let's go there, to repair the spacecraft first, adjust the engine power, and prepare for landing. After all, Liang is a teenager who has been sailing in space for several years, and he is very experienced in this. In an hour, they will enter the atmosphere of the planet. Yu and Daisuke quietly left the cockpit, inserted the dark blade into the ground where no one noticed, and then teleported into the universe. The stars here are really beautiful. He stood in the starry sky, and his mental power began to extend infinitely. During this period, the stars, the sun, and the lines in the sky also began to shine slowly. With the help of the soul crystal, he has quickly entered a state of understanding the laws. Chapter 227 Suspicion. In the cockpit, except for Zyadishin who noticed Daz's small movements, no one else noticed. It's no wonder, he usually reduces his presence, just to be able to disappear quietly at times like this. Of course, Zyadishin would not deliberately expose his whereabouts, so he chose to remain silent about this. Anyway, he knew that Yu and Daisuke would not go out to harm others, and he should not play anything, so he just let me be happy. Liang began to direct everyone to prepare for landing. Freya, analyze the atmospheric composition in the air. Luoje, remotely analyze the composition of the surface and check the vitality of the soil. After a while, feedback was received. More than 95% of the atmosphere is hydrogen, but there is almost no water. It is not suitable for us to live. Beep. The soil structure analysis is complete. Most of the surface is composed of copper, which is not suitable for building. It is recommended to rest here and leave. Everyone was disappointed after hearing the analysis. Really, it looks so beautiful from the universe, but it is such a harsh environment. Although Liang was a little disappointed, it was also expected. It's okay, we are used to this situation. We have been drifting in the universe for 300 years, and we have encountered many such planets. After hearing this, Shizuka was very surprised. Have you been drifting in the universe for 300 years? It's so pitiful. Liang also agreed with it. Yes, we had to abandon our home planet because the environment of the planet deteriorated too much. At that time, our material civilization was highly developed, but we ignored the environment again and again. When we finally remembered to protect the environment, it was already to the point where we had to carry breathing devices to go out. In the end, we were no longer able to manage the environment, and our ancestors had to abandon their planet. They boarded the pinnacle of their own material and technology, a spaceship built with all the efforts of the world. Since then, we have had to drift in the universe. In this process, we also met other people who had lost their mother planets. After taking them in, we gradually formed the current drifting space fleet. And we, the Space Boy Knights, are the boys sent by the mothership to find new planets. At this point, Leon proudly pointed to the medal on his chest. This is the proof that we are recognized and become knights. Everyone was moved by their story. You are really great. For your own future, you drifted in the universe at such a young age. As everyone chatted happily, the spaceship slowly landed on the surface. Leon and the others stood up and said, "We are going to repair the electronic circuits on the lower level now. You will wait here for a while." The three men left the cockpit, and Freya stayed with everyone, and explained the history of the drifting space fleet to them. Below, Luoj took out a piece of metal plate, checked it carefully and said, "It's no good. The super time and space jump device has been completely destroyed, and cannot be repaired." Liang also took out a piece of metal plate, and frowned after checking it. "Now even the engine is overheated. The storm we encountered in the cosmic storm just now was too strong. It seems that it will take some time to repair these things." In the cockpit, Freya found an excuse to leave temporarily. Then she walked into the warehouse, and took out the communication device to contact the headquarters. Strange, why is there no signal? Freya tried for a long time, but the communication device was black. In a place she didn't notice, a black sharp blade was inserted into the spacecraft. Yu and as he left some magic power, allowing the blade to absorb any energy flow that tried to leave or enter the spacecraft. In other words, he used this sword to block any means of communication here. This was a backup plan he left behind, because he was worried that the Enegos would cause trouble when he was away. Is there something wrong with this planet itself? It's really strange. It was fine when I detected it last time. Seeing that she couldn't contact the headquarters, she had to give up. After all, she had been away for too long, which might make people suspicious. After returning to the cockpit, Freya pretended that nothing had happened and continued to chat and drink tea with everyone. Xiaoshan looked at her with a hint of suspicion. What exactly is that machine she was holding just now? Why did she have to hide from all of us? Xiaoshan began to think about this question, because he was already very strange just now. According to what they said, after the hyperspace voyage ended, there was no sign of deviation from the destination. In the absence of interference, the biggest possibility is that someone deliberately set other coordinates, which would lead to this situation. Although the possibility of an insider is small, he still became suspicious. And just now Freya had been away for too long, so he used his mental power to carefully explore the situation in the cabin, and saw the scene just now. Just when everyone on the ship had their own ulterior motives, the threat outside quietly arrived. Everyone was busy with their own things, and suddenly the spaceship shook, interrupting the people on the scene. The maintenance personnel below immediately rushed to the cockpit and asked what happened. Nobita and the others also fell to the ground because of the vibration just now. After all, they were not professional spaceship pilots, and the vibration above was even stronger. Seeing their condition, Liang knew that he could not learn anything useful from them. Luoj, Koro, call up the surrounding observation equipment and check what it is. While they were talking, the vibration outside came again, and it was stronger than the last time. Everyone finally stood up again and saw a steel spider that was bigger than the spaceship hitting the spaceship in the monitoring. Damn, the vibration just now was caused by them, right? Now everyone knew that if they didn't protect the spaceship, their dream of going back would be in vain. Liang made a prompt decision and chose to give up here. Freya, try to start the spaceship. Let's land on another planet. Others also began to check the data of the spaceship, started the engine, and prepared to take off. But these spiders are not so easy to deal with. Seeing that their prey wanted to escape, they immediately ejected metal threads from their spinnerets. These threads bypassed the spaceship from the air and fell on the ground at the other end. These biological metals and the copper on the surface quickly merged into one. It was unknown what the principle was. Although the principle was unknown, the effect was very good, because Liang and his men immediately found that their spacecraft could not take off. Damn, is there only one way to destroy these guys? Liang clenched his fists and began to calculate his own ammunition storage. Chapter 228 Going to War. At this time, Yu and Dazi was in space and suddenly felt a vibration of the dark blade. Now its spirit is too weak to explain the situation directly like the cloak. But this does not prevent him from understanding that something happened below. I have clearly realized the most important moment, but suddenly this kind of thing happened. It will really cause trouble for me. Yu and Dazi had to stop the perception and quickly wrapped himself with the golden cloak, turning into a beam of light and flying to the ground. It is still possible to continue after the perception of the law, but if there are fewer people, it will be a matter of regret for the rest of your life. Below, Xiaoshan walked towards the sword left by Yu and Dazi in the spacecraft. This is the best way he can think of to defend against the enemy. He had tried it secretly before, but his mental power was still a little weak, and he could not directly break the spider's legs. And if he wanted to decompose the spiders one by one, the mental power he spent was not something he could bear, and it would take a long time. Then his only means of attack was swordsmanship, and the best sword here was the dark blade left by Yu and Dazi. Even his mental power could not analyze its structure for the time being. I hope I won't cut my hand this time. Every time he saw the sword, he would think of the time he was cut. But since Yu and Dazi couldn't get back for a while, there was no other way. Please, for the people we cherish. Xiaoshan reached out and pulled out the dark blade, and Dazi also received this message outside. He actually wants to go to the battlefield? Well, the rest is up to you. He was very clear about Izuku-shan's talent in swordsmanship. The Kangyu sword art has been given to him for so long, and now with the blessing of the dark blade, I believe he will not let everyone down. Yu and Dazi once again returned to outer space to continue to comprehend the law. Xiaoshan picked up the sword, and the dark golden lines flashed on the sword. When he let go of the fear in his heart, he could realize the power of this sword. My strength and speed have increased by about 3 times, and the sharpness and hardness of the blade are not comparable to the sword I made myself. He waved it casually for a few times to adapt himself to the length and weight of the sword, so as not to make mistakes later. Walking back to the cockpit, Xiaoshan said to the people in the cabin calmly, "Open the hatch, I'll deal with them." Shizuka looked at Xiaoshan now and felt a little scared. "Mr. Izuki, are you okay?" Xiaoshan did not answer because his strength could not fully control the dark blade, so his personality was affected by the blade and became a little cold. Liang thought about it in his position. Now it seems that there is no other way, only to trust him once. So he made a decision. "Okay, I will open the hatch in 2 minutes. But unless all the monsters around are dealt with by you, I will not open the hatch again." Xiaoshan listened to his conditions and just nodded and said nothing. This is the best choice in the current situation. You have to bear the consequences of what you decide to do. Soon, Xiaoshan came to the hatch, and the dark blade in his hand reflected a cold light. "Now, I wish you good luck." Liang said words that were almost farewell, and then opened the hatch. Xiaoshan rushed out of the gap in the hatch without any hesitation. For the safety of everyone, Liang closed the hatch immediately after he rushed out. After going out, Izuki first aimed at the nearest metal spider. The first move of the Kangyu sword technique, flap the wings. The short figure flashed by, and the sword blade brought 2 black lights, cutting the metal spider into several pieces. The people in the cockpit were stunned. Both the speed and strength just now far exceeded the limits of the human body in their cognition. Freya still couldn't believe it. Are the combat effectiveness of the Earthlings so high? I think I need to tell the commander-in-chief about this situation. She secretly made up her mind that, after leaving this ghost place, she would immediately report to the commander that the combat effectiveness of the Earthlings could not be estimated for the time being. While everyone was stunned, Xiaoshan had already dealt with 4 metal spiders. As for the other metal spiders, they saw that this human was not easy to deal with, so they began to spray metal threads from a distance. Izuki knew the hardness of these metal threads, and he could cut them, but it would greatly slow down his speed. so he began to jump left and right on the battlefield to avoid these spider threads. The mother spider in the distance observed the battle situation here through the little spider. After realizing that this guy was difficult to deal with, she gave an order from a distance. Several smaller spiders gave up spinning silk and fearlessly rushed towards Chumashin, who was avoiding the spider silk. Seeing these spiders coming up to offer their heads, he was also prepared to accept them without hesitation. Just when the two were about to meet, a huge spider web fell from the sky. Is this a trap? Zyadishin immediately understood that these small spiders suddenly rushed out of the camp just to lure him into the trap. When was it set up? Why didn't I find it? The density of this spider web is very high, and it takes a certain amount of time to set it up. After swinging the sword to kill a few troublesome insects, Zyadishin began to worry about the spider web that fell rapidly from the sky. The range of this web is too wide, and it should be impossible to escape. I can only cut it open. The second move of the Kangyu sword technique, breaking through the air. His eyes instantly became sharp, as if an eagle was searching for prey. The weakest part of the web is there. Not far away, there was a part where the spider web was sparsely distributed. After aiming at the target, the whole person seemed to be integrated with the sword blade and flashed from the entrance of the cave. Taking this opportunity, Zyadishin saw clearly how he was trapped in the encirclement. About 500 meters away from him, a circle of spiders sprayed spider silk from their tails and wove this large web in the air. Damn, it can spray so far. No wonder I didn't detect it just now. After knowing the situation, Zyadishin was annoyed for a few seconds and then thought of something. It can be so orderly to encircle the circle, which means that there must be someone in charge here. Thinking of this, he immediately began to search for spiders nearby, but the spiders refused to give him a chance. Although the silk spinners at the tail are temporarily unusable, the mouths can still spit out venom. All the spiders opened their mouth pits and spit deadly venom at Zyadishin, who was in the center. In the eyes of the spider mother, he couldn't avoid this law at all. Zyadishin saw that they wanted to encircle and kill in the air, and suddenly he was happy. These spiders were too naive. He manipulated his mental power to condense into small springboards in the air and stepped on them to leave the center of the vortex. Since Isakusu escaped this disaster, the spiders spewing venom on the ground were in trouble. Because the spider spewed venom towards the center of the circle, it landed on the head of the metal spider opposite to it. Nearly 100 giant metal spiders died in the venom of their companions. Chapter 229 Spider Terminator. The mother spider saw this scene through her child's eyes, and her anger instantly exploded. Do you know how much dirt I have to eat to raise such a big spider? And how much time does it take? You destroyed them all in one go. Chumashin felt a surge of anger descending on the surviving spiders, and he immediately locked onto the direction from which the emotion came. There are only a few spiders left here, and the remaining ones are either dead or disabled, and they are no longer a threat to them. So now we should go find the leader and have a good chat about life. He landed on the ground and used the breathing method and energy coordination method in the sword formula to hurry on the road. Of course, Zyadishin does not know energy such as magic power, and the magic power he uses now is provided by the dark magic stone in the sword blade. In a few minutes, his figure appeared on a cliff. There are many small spiders hanging on the mountain wall here, transporting food below. And his goal this time is the giant mother spider under the cliff. From the cliff, it can be clearly seen that the spider mother should be hundreds of meters in size. Her body is covered with dark red metal, and the pincers on her head are opening and closing, feeding below. However, the metal layer on her body is not as solid as it looks, because as the spider mother eats, her body begins to wriggle constantly. From this point of view, the layer of material is not like metal, but like a kind of plasticine. She also noticed Zyadishin's approach, and the spider mother immediately ordered the surrounding spiders to encircle him. These spiders flashed red and began to besiege Demishin in the center. And he had no intention of fighting. There were too many spiders here, enough to kill him. The mental pedal appeared under his feet again, and his figure passed by these small spiders. Although they are small spiders, in fact, each spider is larger than Zyadishin. But compared with the size of an adult body of tens of meters, they are indeed small spiders. The mental power detected the movement of each spider, and the powerful computing power found the best way from here to the location of the spider mother, accurately avoiding each spider. It is about to approach the spider mother at the bottom. At this moment, the spider mother below opened her tail, and a bunch of newly born spiders were thrown out by their mother before they had time to enjoy life. Zyadishan had been guarding against the spider mother's mouth and tail, but she didn't expect that the armor at the silk sack was actually a flip-up type, and she could throw children. He hesitated that the distance between the two sides was too close, and it was impossible to dodge, so he had to swing his sword to kill a few spiders. However, two of the swords accidentally cut into the spider's poison sac, and the venom splashed in the air. He couldn't dodge in time, and a few drops of venom splashed on his hands, and a burning sensation immediately came from the wound. But he couldn't care so much now, and hurriedly used his mental power to pick up the venom on his skin, and then ran to the place where the spider mother's head was. "You emotionless beast, go to hell." This time he did not use the Kangayu sword art, but the full moon and the Demon King's 7 swords. Now he is not in front of Yu and Daisuke, and the soul-devouring monument is also sleeping, so it should be fine. A blood moon rose at the bottom of the valley, separating the spider mother's head and body. The head helplessly swung its fangs twice on the ground, and finally lost all its strength and remained motionless. Doraemon and his friends started to hurry when Zyadishan rushed to the cliff, and now they finally arrived. At this time, the spiders had lost their self-awareness, because they had lost the control of the spider mother, and completely turned into a pile of scrap metal. Seeing that there were several more scars on Dekishi's right hand, Shizuka hurriedly picked up the universal medicine box, and began to apply medicine to him. The medicine for treating the wounds has been applied. Your wounds are a bit big, and it should take a few days. Doraemon watched Shizuka help Zyadishan wrap up the wounds on his hands, and calculated the healing time, based on his data. Zyadishan looked at the wounds on his hands, and was a little disappointed. A few days? Can it be faster? Is there any medicine that can be cured in a few minutes? The blue fat man covered his head, and began to search for his props. After a while, he shook his head in disappointment. No, the only item that can heal quickly is a time cloth. But it has been lost. Then Doraemon finally remembered that we were missing someone and asked, "By the way, where is Yuan?" The others finally remembered that there should be another person in their team. Everyone thought that the guy was deserting, and was very angry. What? That guy actually ran away when he saw a spider. What a coward. Seeing that everyone had misunderstood, Dekisugi quickly defended me. No, Daisuke left because he had other things to do. But no one else believed him. After all, what could that guy do in this place? Looking at the stars? While talking, Zyadishan had already used his mental power to slowly reorganize the cells in his hand. It's better not to let Daisuke know about my injury, otherwise, he might not call me if there is anything in the future. Okay, now let's go back to the spaceship to tell them that I'm safe. Zyadishan found that he probably couldn't convince them for a while, so he quickly changed the subject. Others also felt that what Zyadishan said made sense. If they were all gone, what would they do if they suddenly repaired the spaceship and left? The group put on bamboo dragonflies and quickly flew to the location of the spaceship. However, it turned out that they were overthinking. At this time, the spaceship was still tightly entangled by the metal spider silk, and it should be impossible to take off. Liang and the others saw that the half-dead spiders on the ground were completely motionless, and Freya immediately suggested, "Let's leave quickly, let these guys fend for themselves." Liang immediately refuted her, "This won't work. Although we both have grievances, they are our lifesavers, and we can't abandon them." Freya knew that she couldn't convince Liang, so she had to agree with him. "Okay, let's go down and continue to repair the spaceship." Liang also nodded and took everyone to the mechanical room to repair the circuit board. This time Freya also went to help. Anyway, they couldn't contact the headquarters now, so they might as well find a way to leave early. Nobita and the others also returned to the spaceship and began to discuss how handsome Zyadishan was when she swung the sword just now. Doraemon knew that the people below were repairing the spaceship, so he said, "You guys play here first. I'll go down and see if I can help." Xiaoshin was also very interested in this so-called super time and space jump navigation device, so he went down with him. He wanted to analyze the structure of this device and record it, so that he could manufacture it on Earth. With the abilities of him and Yuandazki, it should not be a problem to secretly manufacture a spaceship. He casually put the dark blade on the ground, and followed Doraemon to the mechanical room below. Doraemon waved and greeted them. "Hello, we want to help too. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 230 Expanded. Liang wiped the sweat from his head and smiled. "That's great. We are just short of manpower here." The heavy Korokoro walked over and picked up Xiaoshin. This action scared Dekishin a lot. If he hadn't felt the other party's malice, he would have almost used his mental power to blow up this place. Seeing Korokoro's action, Liang smiled again. "It's okay. This is Korokoro's way of expressing goodwill. Thank you for saving our spaceship." Xiaoshin touched his head and felt a little embarrassed. "It's nothing. The main thing is that the sword is very powerful, otherwise I can't deal with so many big spiders." Eluoja was also chatting happily with Doraemon, and the two robots did have a lot of topics. For example, both of them were worried about their children. One was Nobita and the other was Liang. Neither of them was a worry-free person. And Freya was flying in the air, looking at the happy scene below. She was very unhappy. These guys have very magical abilities, mysterious combat power, weird props. They may affect the commander's plan. At this time, she had already made up her mind to get rid of these people completely. Then she looked at the bandage on Xiaoshin's hand and smiled. "Although you are very powerful, you are just flesh and blood after all." In the cockpit, a group of naughty kids suddenly caught a glimpse of the sword blade left by Xiaoshin on the ground. It was this sword just now. Cutting the metal shell is like cutting tofu. Dakshin pointed at the black sharp blade and told everyone what he saw. Xiaofu looked at the sword blade and a chill surged in his heart. "I always feel that this sword will bring bad things, so forget it." Fat Tiger didn't care about these at all. He walked to the dark blade and prepared to pick it up. "Who cares if it's good or not? Now that I see it, this sword is mine." Now he has begun to imagine that he will point this sword at Yuandaz's neck and make him kneel on the ground and sing conquer. Fat Tiger grasped the hilt of the sword. The dark blade was very resistant. "Who are you? Dare to touch me?" But it remembered that after it accidentally scratched Xiaoshin last time, its master strictly ordered it not to hurt anyone at will. So it could only swallow its anger and be taken away by this reckless man who knew nothing about swordsmanship. Fat Tiger felt the energy surging on the blade, and after it was fed back to his body, his strength and speed increased by more than 3 times. "Haha, I was wondering why those two guys, Yuandazhi and Dekizun, were so powerful. It turns out that, as long as we pick up this sword, we can all be like them." Fat Tiger was confused by the sudden increase in power and began to get carried away. Nobita and Sunia looked at Fat Tiger and felt that something was wrong. Because if a fool like Fat Tiger had this kind of power, he would probably not be as self-disciplined as Yuandazhi. Fat Tiger decided to test his own strength first. "I'm going to challenge Dekizun now and let him steal the show." So he carried the dark blade and ran to the machine room on the bottom floor. Dekizun was concentrating on recording the working principle of the instrument and didn't notice a hothead running outside. While everyone was working hard, the hatch was suddenly opened. A pitch black sharp blade pointed downwards. "Chumushin, I want to challenge you." Xiaoshin received a letter of challenge for no apparent reason and was very puzzled. "Why is this happening?" Fat Tiger walked down. "I already know your secret. Because holding this sword, you can gain infinite power, so you two are so powerful." Then he pointed the tip of the sword at Mushin, "And I'm holding it, so I'm the boss on the ship. I will prove this now. Come out and accept the challenge." Xiaoshin didn't care. The power of the sword was limited. Even if he took it, he would be able to easily defeat Fat Tiger. But the others in the cabin didn't think so. Liang and Korokoro were more simple, so they didn't expect to grab it directly. Freya, the woman, has already started thinking about how to get rid of these people and take the sword away. If the commander has it, then there should be no problem in conquering that backward planet. For Leon's happiness, I must take it. The robot began to analyze. A sword can provide power. There is no precedent in the database that can be found. Stop it, Fat Tiger. If you have the energy, you might as well go and cut the spider silk outside. I'm still very busy here. You can go and have fun on your own. Xiaoshan was too lazy to fight. He was too lazy to do such a thankless task. Anyway, when Dazi comes back, he will naturally take the sword back by himself. People like Fat Tiger who know nothing, even if they have advanced magic tools, people with strength will not pay attention. Damn it. Fat Tiger would not take action here, no matter how stupid he is. After all, this is their hope to go back. If they stay on this planet, then even if they have power, what's the point? So Fat Tiger could only turn around and leave in disappointment and follow Xiaoshan's advice to go out and cut spider silk. Damn it, I have to do this kind of low-level physical work. Wait, when Yu and Dazhi comes back, I will make him suffer. Fat Tiger chopped the metal spider silk while talking to himself to cheer himself up. It's so annoying. Why are these spider silks so tough and so many? So tiring. No one paid attention to Fat Tiger's complaints, and everyone was busy with their own things. Yu and Dazhi was awakened from his state of enlightenment by the dark blade for the second time in space. What's wrong again? Did Xiaoshan get into trouble? Although he was very unhappy, he still had to go down for safety reasons. The golden cloak wrapped me into a shuttle-shaped object and flew to the location of the spaceship below. After all, I left an observation mark on Nobita, so he still knew the approximate location. A few minutes later, Yu and Dazhi landed from the sky on the ground and then saw Fat Tiger chopping spider silk below. And the dark blade kept making a wail because Fat Tiger, a rough man, was holding it, and Yu and Dazhi was also awakened in this way. Xiaoshan felt that he had returned, so she said, Dazi has returned and is confronting Fat Tiger. I'll go over and take a look, and I'll be back soon. The others also lost interest in repairing the spaceship and hurriedly followed him out. As a result, everyone appeared at the hatch, waiting to see the good show of the two of them. Yin and Dazi, I tell you I have been waiting for this day for a long time, and today I will defeat you fairly. Fat Tiger pointed his sword at Daz's head and said confidently, it's not too late to kneel on the ground and beg for mercy. Yin and Dazi sighed helplessly, idiots are idiots. Then he said expressionlessly, I'll give you a chance to express your attitude. I believe you know what to do, right? After hearing this, Fat Tiger became furious. Are you looking down on me by saying that? Yin and Dazi spread his hands innocently and said, I'm not talking to you. Then who are you talking to? Besides the two of us, there are others here. At this point, Fat Tiger couldn't continue, because he saw the blade of the dark blade suddenly extend, then turn 180 degrees and place it on his neck. Chapter 231 Black Hole. Just like that, without anyone expecting it, this simple war ended. Xiaoshan quietly removed his gauze at the hatch, and then disassembled it. Not bad. It looks like there should be no problem now. His hand had also been repaired by his own telekinesis, which took a lot of effort. Yin and Dazi walked over and took back his sword and said to Fat Tiger, what is not yours will never be yours, so why force it? After saying that, he swung the already bent blade in his hand, and the blade once again returned to its original shape. Since it's all out, let's clean up these spider silks. Full moon. He used the blade to draw a storm around, and the blood moon once again appeared on this planet. The sword energy penetrated the crowd of onlookers and cleaned up the spider silk on the periphery. After doing all this, he took the dark blade back into his hand and walked into the spacecraft. The brains of the others were still in a downtime state, still recalling the situation when Yu and Dazi just let the blade bend by itself. Not long after, with Xiaoshan's reminder, everyone recovered. He shook his head to make himself clearer and then put his enthusiasm into repairing the spacecraft. At night, he found a place to rest with his sword in his arms and at the same time sorted out his feelings today. He only realized now that the laws of the sky are not that simple. At first, He only thought that the sky refers to the sky above the stars, but now he finds that even the starry sky in the universe is included in the sky. The laws he had previously understood were limited to what he could see on Earth, and his vision was still too narrow. Shizuka ran to Freya because she was the only woman on the ship, and her favorability naturally increased by 10 points. Freya, do you have a place to take a bath here? That's right, the bathing maniac Shizuka is looking for a place to take a bath again. She had already prepared to be rejected, but Freya happily answered her, of course, come with me. Under her leadership, the two girls came all the way to a closed cabin. However, looking at this thing, Shizuka was worried. How should I use this? Freya flew to a small button next to it. Wait a minute, this thing needs a little force. Then, Freya hit the switch hard, and a huge water drop fell in the center of the cabin. Okay, that's it. Don't worry, although it looks a little weird, it's very useful. Shizuka slowly walked into the water drop, and found that she could breathe inside. It's so comfortable. I want to take a good bath this time. Freya flew next to her and said happily, I said it's comfortable to take a bath, right? But those guys just don't like it. Especially Lian. He won't come, no matter how I call him. Shizuka looked at Freya, who looked like herself who was worried about Nobita, and couldn't help but smile. Freya, you really like Lian. Freya blushed when she heard her thoughts being revealed. But she also admitted it openly. Yes, I like Lian very much. For him, I'm willing to do anything. On a distant planet, inside the underground headquarters. Has Freya still not sent a message back? The man in green military uniform was looking at the sky and asked the black-robed man below. Yes, Lord Commander-in-Chief. Since she last sent a message saying that she had found a habitable planet, there has been no news. The Commander-in-Chief thought for a while and said, wait a little longer. It may be that the timing is not right, so she has no news. The black-robed man nodded and then suggested, but since we already have a suitable planet, why don't we ask the slaves to start rushing to build a few more drones? Go, this matter is left to you. The war will start soon. The robot is still repairing the spacecraft. This time, because Zyashin has dealt with the obstacles, the progress is much faster. Before dawn, Lian came to wake them up. Good news, our spacecraft can take off. Let's set off now to find the drifting space fleet. Everyone stood up and prepared to set sail again. The two robots have worked hard enough to repair the planet overnight, so let them get some sleep today. Lian carefully checked the data of the spacecraft in the cockpit. After confirming that all the data were normal, he prepared to start the spacecraft. Let's go now. He pressed the takeoff button and began to control the spacecraft. After a while, the spacecraft left the planet. Nobita and Doraemon lay by the window, watching the blue planet moving farther and farther away from us. If you only look at it from the outside, this planet is really beautiful. Freya was a little angry. Yes, it just looks like that. Who would have thought that such a beautiful planet is so desolate? Zyashin thought for a while and said, it should be that the atmosphere selectively reflects light, so it appears blue. Everyone silently moved 1 centimeter away from the academic bully. Then Nobita asked the pilot, Lian, we can finally go find the fleet now, right? Lian nodded, yes, but because the hyperspace engine is not used, we must rest on the planet halfway. Luogen also interrupted, don't be too disappointed. Our current sailing direction is opposite to the fleet, so we can meet them in 1 day at most. Time passed quickly, while everyone was playing around. After more than an hour, everyone was tired of playing. At this moment, the spacecraft suddenly vibrated again. What's wrong? Luogen, quickly detect the source of the vibration. The robot immediately checked the condition of the spacecraft and concluded, Captain, this vibration should not be a problem with the engine. Freya was also observing the expected orbit, and then told Lian in a panic, oh no, the spacecraft has deviated from the orbit, and is about to go to an unknown starfield. It seems that there is a force pulling us. Lian was also anxious and shouted, so what is that force? Have you found it? Without him saying anything, Freya had already started to press the keyboard frantically. Looking. Found it. There is a small black hole 10 billion kilometers away from our orbit. Everyone's face changed when they heard the term black hole. especially Xiaoshan and Doraemon. They both knew the horror of black holes. In the future world, although they can create something similar to black holes are still the representative name of the forbidden zone of life. No matter what means are used, it is impossible to explore the interior of the black hole. Liang bit his fingers and forced himself to calm down. Koro immediately turned the engine of the spacecraft to the maximum. We must immediately get out of the gravitational range of the black hole. Immediately adjust the route and start this journey of survival. At this moment, the dark blade in Yuandaz's hand suddenly couldn't be held back, and he drilled out of his hand. Then he cut through the void and drilled into the hole himself. Chapter 232 Forced Landing. What happened? Yuandaz was a little confused when he saw his magic device suddenly run away. At this moment, the cloak quietly appeared behind him. It, because of darkness, tempered itself. Yuandaz then remembered the black hole next to him and understood its intention. But how did it get there? 10 billion kilometers. Because the space-time near the black hole is distorted, it is easier for it to open a space tunnel. And the magic power of the magic stone is more space-friendly than you think. This time it was the soul-devouring monument who said it. Just when Yuandaz wanted to continue asking, the golden cloak emitted a faint light and then disappeared. Oh my god, why is this guy going to join in the fun? Isn't it the sun gem? What is he doing there? The soul-devouring monument once again explained his doubts for him. Don't you know that the sun is also likely to become a black hole after it dies? You don't even understand this little bit of scientific common sense. Yuandaz didn't know what to say. He was despised by an antique from 1,000 years ago again, and in science. Then how can the cloak pass through this time? 10 billion kilometers. How many times do you need me to tell you? That's a dead sun. Within its gravitational range, the sun's core resonates, and it's easy to pass through. He was also angry. Aren't you talking about science again? Why are you talking about magic again? The soul-devouring monument and Yuandaz started a new round of quarrels. Can't science and magic have something in common? They are both exploring the laws of the universe. Isn't it normal to have some common sense? While arguing with the soul-devouring monument, he was thinking about how to get through the next plot. Now 2 of his 5 magic tools were sealed in an instant, leaving only the staff, the soul crystal ball and the soul-devouring monument. That made him unhappy. The staff can only be used now. After condensing 2 or 3 more talismans, the wood spirit staff will be finished. That's right. Yuandaz suddenly remembered something. It's easy for them to pass through, but what about coming back? The soul-devouring monument just talked about the past, and he had never heard of anything that could come back. After passing through a black hole, did he lose all the top level and most obedient magic tools on him? The soul-devouring monument noticed his thoughts and temporarily stopped the quarrel with him. Don't worry, I instructed them to do that. Are you jealous that they took your first auxiliary position, so you want me to lose them forever? Shut up, or I will really make you lose them forever. Seeing it threatening him like this, Yuandaz had to shut his mouth and listen to him. When they have gained enough benefits and your adventure is almost over, I will bring them back. He was a little surprised. You can actually take things out of the black hole? That's great. It didn't care about Yuandaz's ridicule and explained seriously. The soul is a very special thing. It can transcend the limitations of time and space and is not affected by any force. So for me, taking things from a black hole is no different from taking things from the ground. But to help them fight against the chaotic power of time and space, a certain amount of energy is still needed. By then, I will fall into a deep sleep again. The consumption of breaking the realm has not been recovered until now. Thank you. After the soul-devouring monument sent the magic device into the black hole, Liang and the others also controlled the spacecraft to escape from danger. Great. We finally escaped the gravitational range of the black hole. Everyone lay down in their seats after surviving the disaster. Beep. Because the engine was fully opened just now, it is overloaded again. And considering the fuel problem, please find a planet to land as soon as possible. The robot Luoja reported the price paid for escaping from the black hole. Lian assigned the task. Freya, you immediately replan the route and find a suitable planet to stop at. Freya nodded and began to adjust and plan the new route. I'm sorry, Lian. She sighed in her heart and adjusted the route to pass through the cosmic cemetery. Everything here was planned by her. After all the routes were planned by her. She had the intelligence and coordinates provided by the Independence Army. She only needed to set the end point of the time and space jump, and the rest could basically be expected. The new route has been set, avoiding the gravitational zone of the black hole and merging with the fleet route. After sailing in space for another 2 hours, Leon was worried about the planets one by one. Really, why haven't we found a planet to land on yet? Luoj was also urging. The heat of the engine is about to exceed the safety standard. If there is no planet to land on, the possibility of engine failure is very high. And considering the fuel problem, please land as soon as possible. Freya calculated the time, retrieved the surrounding planets, and indeed saw the familiar planet. There is a planet ahead where we can land, but it's slightly off course. Everyone trusted Freya, so they agreed. The deviation from the route is not too far. Let's hurry over and land. The others were drinking tea in the lounge when suddenly Leon's portrait appeared on the screen. We are about to land on a planet. Please do not use drinks or the like for the time being. Gian and Azzy had no choice but to put away his teacup and wait until it was safe here. Oh, I remember. This place doesn't seem to be a good place. Yu and Azzy, who was about to take a nap, suddenly became alert and immediately used his mental power to remind Zyashin. Watch Freya. Zyashin asked Azzy, how do you know that there is something wrong with Freya? He was a little curious. How did you know? Because she took out a device similar to a communication device when we were not paying attention. Although I don't know why it failed, it is still very suspicious. He nodded to Zyashin. She has the final say on the course of this ship. The time and space beacon was wrong at the beginning. I can't think of any other possibility except her. Then Yu and Azzy added, and you remember that I stuck the sword on the spacecraft? The communication equipment failure you saw was caused by me. After the two reached an agreement, they took turns to monitor Freya. After the spacecraft entered the atmosphere, the surrounding fog began to become thicker. Luoj, who was observing the radar, suddenly shouted, oh no, the radar failed. Then Korokoro also found that his engine began to stall. What the hell is going on? Before he could finish his words, the bottom of the spacecraft had already started to touch the ground. Everyone in the cockpit grabbed the operating console in front of them to prevent themselves from being thrown out. Yuan and Azzy were also in pain. The violent turbulence made us fall all over the floor. Chapter 233 Planet. Before the vibration started, Yu and Azzy had already used magic to fix himself and Zyashin on the chair, still motionless. When the vibration finally stopped, none of the 3 pilots in the cockpit survived, and all fainted. The people in the lounge were also in a large group, except for the 2 of us. Everyone else fainted. Freya was a little happy to see that everyone had fainted. This is a planet. If we let them go down, they will surely not survive. I must get that sword. She first went to open the hatch of the spacecraft, waiting for them to fall into the trap. Then she ran to the lounge where everyone was and hit the hatch with a tennis ball that had been prepared long ago. The huge noise woke up Nobita, and then he woke up everyone who was still sleeping. As soon as everyone woke up, they saw Azzy and Zyashin drinking tea. Hey, why can you be so calm, but don't call us? After Sunia got up, he first expressed his dissatisfaction with them. The two had just received the information they wanted and were communicating secretly. What should we do now? Should we go over and expose her? Azzy shook his head slightly. If you say that, few people will believe it. He put down his teacup. Then what should we do now? Follow her idea? Ian and Azzy also put down his teacup and said to everyone, something seems to have happened here. Why don't we go over and take a look first? At the same time, he activated the crystal ball to block any communication signals. He quietly threw the crystal ball to the ground. This time he was not going out to comprehend the law, so he couldn't use it for the time being. So he let it be a pawn here to prevent some villain from secretly contacting his boss. Freya watched them walk out of the lounge in secret. On the way to the cockpit, she happened to pass by the open hatch. When the impatient fat tiger saw the hatch open, he thought that they had quietly gone out. Really, you have fun, but you don't take me with you. Then he walked out of the spaceship from here. Doraemon followed helplessly. Really, fat tiger, don't act alone. It's very dangerous. The others also went down with him. The two of them looked at each other and left together. After the aliens walked for a while, Freya came over to close the hatch again, and then made some tricks to make it difficult for others to open the door. After doing all this, she flew to the corridor again and took out her communication equipment. Damn, why is there still no signal? Is it because there is thick fog here? Strange, why is the fog so thick here? Fat Tiger complained while waving his hands. Sunia was more optimistic. Maybe once the fog dissipates, we will find that we have arrived at the back mountain of the school. Nobita was a little bit unbelievable. No way, if we really returned to Earth, why didn't they tell us? As for Daisy and Zayarshan, they had seen the inside story and were silent and prepared to deal with the dangers that might appear at any time. Everyone kept talking about the topic of the back mountain, and the planet gradually knew their wishes. Soon, the thick fog in front of them dissipated, and the environment became the familiar back mountain. What's going on? Are we really back to Earth? Everyone was a little bit unbelievable, but the scene in front of them was exactly the same as the back mountain. Ziofu walked forward and found that there was a town behind the tree, which was a familiar place. He immediately waved, "Everyone come and see, this is really the back mountain." Others also looked carefully according to their memories, and it was exactly the same as their memories. Yeah. Great, we are finally back. Everyone rushed all the way to their homes and walked into the house with trepidation. After all, they had not been home for a few days and were worried that their parents would scold them. When Daisy and Zayarshan walked into the house, there was still a couple waiting for them inside. "You are back? Really? Where have you been these days? Do you know how worried we are?" It was his adoptive mother who spoke. She was now looking at the two children with great concern, and the father behind them also came out. "Mom, don't scold them anymore. I believe they have known they were wrong, right?" He walked over and touched their heads. They both knew that this was an illusion, but Daisy and Zayarshan put away their mental strength that was enough to see through the illusion. Because they had not seen their parents for a long time, it should be fine to sink into it for a while. Dekisugi threw himself into his parents' arms. "I'm sorry, Mom and Dad." Dad picked them up. "It's okay, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back." Mom also pretended to sigh helplessly. "You only know how to accommodate them. I'm sorry that I haven't had time to accompany you these days. I made some delicious food, come and eat it." When the two of them heard the key word, eat, they immediately gave up sinking and released their mental power. Mom took them to the restaurant, and the table seemed to be full of delicacies from the mountains and the sea. But when they used their mental power to detect, they found that there were only some ordinary fruits here. Why did they give us fruit? Wasn't it stone in the original work? Daisy signaled Zayarshan not to move his chopsticks and chat with them. And Yu and Daisuke, who had a high resistance to poison, tried it first. The fruit was dark yellow with a little bulge on it that was not sharp. He put the unknown fruit in his mouth and chewed it twice, and a sweet taste spread in his mouth. The soul-devouring monument came out at this time and asked Yu and Daisuke with a puzzled tone, "Where did you get the paradise fruit?" He asked casually, "What's wrong? Is there any harm in this fruit?" The soul-devouring monument began to popularize science for him. "It's not harmful, and it's good for developing the soul. And the taste of this fruit is not fixed. It can show what you want to eat." Yu and Daisuke immediately told Zayarshan, "This fruit can be eaten. It will taste like what you want to eat." He was not polite and took the fruit to his mouth. "Well, it's delicious." The two of them showed a happy smile. Speaking of which, if you don't look carefully under such light, this fruit really looks like a stone. The tree man next to them saw their happy expressions, and the tentacles on his head gradually bloomed yellow flowers. The parents in the illusion also said, "It's delicious, right? Eat more quickly. I'll take you to the playground to play in the afternoon." The two of them nodded happily. At this time, the dry ground gradually turned green, and the land was rejuvenated again. Others also felt happy, and the barren land was rejuvenated again. But beautiful dreams never last long, and the crowing of roosters woke everyone present from their illusions. Chapter 234 Heaven. When they heard the crowing of a rooster, the illusion around them disappeared in an instant. Two ugly tree demons were standing in front of them, still speaking softly. The two knew that they had to leave now, otherwise others might be in danger. Thank you for your hospitality, but I'm sorry, we have to go. The two of them stood up, ready to deal with its rampage at any time. Although it did look a little ugly, at least it had no ill will towards the two people just now. If they could leave safely, they didn't want to fight it. But the reaction of the tree demon exceeded their expectations. It was stunned for a while, and then burst into tears. Woo, no one has come to the paradise for a long time. We have no energy for happiness, and are about to die. Yu and Daisy was confused watching from the side. Director, your script seems to be a little wrong. The soul-devouring monument came out again at this time, to explain their situation to Yu and Daisy. The fruit of heaven is a specialty of the land of heaven. It is produced by tree spirits absorbing the energy of happiness. When they fulfill people's wishes and make people feel happy, they will release the illusion. But due to some reasons in ancient times, the land of heaven was damaged. After that, it lost contact with the human world. Of course, the reason cannot be told to you now. Calculate the time. As far as I know, the last time someone came here was about 2000 years ago. It is understandable that they have become like this. After a pause, the soul-eating monument continued. The energy of happiness will bring new vitality to this place, but fear, anger, sadness, and loneliness will make the creatures here fall into death again. So, as long as you keep a normal heart, or are happier, there will be no danger here. But if you have a lot of negative emotions here, it may trigger the anger of these tree spirits. Because absorbing the energy of happiness is their job, and you have let them fail in their job. He was speechless. Then what should we do now? Stay and accompany them? That's impossible. The soul-devouring monument didn't take it seriously. It's very simple. Just say goodbye to them happily. If you are happy when you leave, they won't stop you. The words of the soul-devouring monument just now were conveyed to Yu and Daisy and the others. They smiled at each other, bowed to them and said, "Thank you for your warm hospitality. We are very happy here." The tree monsters did not stop them as the soul-devouring monument said, and even took out a handkerchief to wipe their tears. "Well, you must remember to come and play in the future. Your handkerchief is really special." Daisy watched it tear off a piece of its skin to wipe its tears, and his eyelids twitched immediately. Zyashin was more concerned about serious matters. "Daisy, we have to tell them this news." He nodded and quickly left this place and began to search for other people. Move quickly. If they are awakened and emit negative emotions of fear and anger, those people will be really dangerous. The others were happily nestling in the arms of the tree monsters, and the surrounding land gradually glowed with vitality. But at this moment, a rooster's crow woke everyone up from their sweet dreams. Then everyone saw the ugly tree demon and the fruit that looked like stone. So almost everyone's first reaction was to shout, "Help, mother!" The happy energy that the tree demons had absorbed with great difficulty was offset by a lot of negative energy. In the tree demons' cognition, they did nothing wrong. But you humans are not satisfied yet and want to make our paradise dead. You are making things difficult for me, the tree demon, do you know? So the tree demons rioted collectively, and they wanted to drag everyone back into the illusion. Everyone didn't know the characteristics of the tree demons, and only thought that they wanted to eat themselves. In the absence of anyone colluding, everyone unanimously chose the destination they trusted most, the spaceship. Everyone ran back to the place, where they got off the ship according to the direction in their memory. Not long after, everyone met here, and dozens of tree demons were gradually surrounding them. They were crying for their parents under the spaceship, because the hatch of the spaceship suddenly couldn't be opened. Seeing the two of them coming, everyone was like seeing a savior. "Yan, Chumushin, help us get rid of those monsters." A group of people rushed over like zombies seeing fresh meat, scaring the two of them. "You guys are scarier than tree monsters, do you know?" The two of them pushed these people away with great effort, but did not explain to them about the heavenly trees. The two of them still stood under the spaceship and shouted loudly, "Help, we are going to be eaten by monsters." This was what Yu and Daisy had agreed to with Zyashin on the way, to test Freya's reaction for the last time. If she finally found her conscience and let us in, they would give her a little face. But if Freya was really determined to kill them, don't blame him for being cruel. Freya was floating in the cockpit, struggling in her heart. Letting them die here was what she wanted to see, but Liang cared about these earthlings. Finally, she made up her mind. No, they will cause unpredictable interference to the commander's affairs. And that black blade is only worthy of Marlian. Let them die here. The people below were all in an uproar. You two don't look anxious at all. Why are you yelling so loudly? The people above didn't know their situation, and they slammed the door loudly. Damn it, open it for me quickly. You broken door. They used their mental power to see the situation above clearly, and when they saw that Freya had given up the operation, they understood her attitude. At this moment, a branch rolled up Shizuka and wanted to take her away. Shizuka waved helplessly in the air. Help, Nobita, Izuki, Yu and Deiji, save me. Nobita's emotions changed from fear to anger at this moment, and he was ready to step forward to save people. And as he immediately stopped Nobita. No, Yunkei, tell her what to do. Zayanishin shouted. Don't be afraid, Shizuka, these trees won't hurt you. Everyone present was surprised, because it didn't look safe at all. Calm down, don't think that the other person is scary, think about the happiest moments in your life. Shizuka tried to calm herself down, and began to recall. In her memory, she won the piano competition, received New Year's money during the Chinese New Year, and took a bath every night. As she thought about it, she seemed to feel a sense of happiness. At this time, the tree of heaven gradually calmed down. Chapter 235 Liang's Dream. From the outside, they could see that pure white flowers gradually bloomed on the branches, starting from the part that touched Shizuka. This time, the heaven tree once again handed the dark yellow fruit to Shizuka. Zayanishin reminded again, this is the heaven fruit. It will become whatever you want to eat. The others also recognized this stone-like fruit and were surprised. Is it a fruit? I thought it was some stones. Shizuka took it doubtfully, put it to her mouth and bit off a small piece. After chewing it in her mouth for a few times, she covered her face with happiness. Well, it's delicious. What he wanted to eat just now was her favorite roasted sweet potato. Not only did it taste the same, but the taste was also very similar. The heaven tree absorbed more happiness, and its body gradually bloomed with flowers. It no longer looked so ugly, but became like an old grandfather. The others were no longer afraid, and rushed out of the bottom of the spaceship. The heaven tree next to them also handed them fruits, and everyone took it, and tasted it in their mouths. It's so delicious. Everyone who ate the fruit fell into deep happiness. The energy of happiness began to slowly spread out, and the surrounding land was no longer the desolate scene before. Grass, flowers, butterflies and other life gradually appeared in front of everyone. The trees of heaven also regained their vitality, and leaves and petals once again occupied the dry branches. When the petals fell, huge yellow fruits appeared on the branches. So this is the freshest fruit of heaven. Doesn't that mean the fruit we eat has been stored for 2000 years? Yu and Daisy accidentally said what he was thinking, and suddenly felt a little uncomfortable in his stomach. Of course, this is just a psychological factor. The rotten fruit has been processed by the tree of heaven, and it will never be taken out for guests to eat. Liang and others above heard that the screams had stopped, and laughter replaced them. What's going on? Are these children too nervous and scared? Liang immediately returned to the cockpit. Freya inside looked at the scene outside, and was shocked and speechless. Liang also saw the changes outside. There was no pale mist, and no terrifying tree demon. The sun shone on the earth again, and a group of children were playing happily on the tree trunks. What's going on? By the way, Freya, the hatch over there won't open. Go and have a look. Freya went over and put away the wires she had damaged. Now that her plan had failed, there was no point in continuing. Leon and his friends also went down to the planet, and several heavenly trees came over with fresh fruits. They took a bite and immediately tasted the familiar taste deep in their memories. Leon also remembered that it was a dish that his late mother loved to cook the most. After slowly finishing the fruit, when he came to his senses, he found himself in the room of the space drifting fleet. What's going on? Wasn't I just then, he saw a familiar figure. Leon, are you full? If not, I have more here. His mother was standing next to him, looking at him with a smile. The love sickness he had felt day and night for several years burst out at this moment, and he rushed over to hug his mother. This time, he was no longer willing to let go. After everyone had enjoyed enough, they all returned to the spaceship. And before they parted, the hospitable heaven tree gave them a lot of heaven fruit. Because Luoj was a robot, he couldn't taste the fruit, so he was responsible for maintaining the spacecraft engine and filling up the fuel. Then we are going to set off again. Liang looked at the spacecraft and everyone who were already fully functional and happily pressed the button. We can all go home soon. Taking off again, the heaven tree below waved its branches to say goodbye to them. Yu and as he looked at a heaven tree that was wiping tears, and his eyelids jumped again. That's enough, you bastard. Put your bark back for me. Unfortunately, this idea was never spoken out, because they had already flown out of the atmosphere. Yu and as he looked at the land in space, but then again, the rejuvenated heaven land is really beautiful. In just one more hour, we can enter the fleet's route. Then we can quickly meet up with them. Luoj calculated the time of reunion, based on their speed. Seeing that everyone was about to enter the designated space cemetery, Freya began to prepare to contact the commander-in-chief later, to implement the capture operation. Xiaoshin and Dazi listened to their chat in the lounge, and kept observing the cockpit with their mental power. About half an hour later, Freya finally lost her patience and said, the radar seems to have a small problem. I'll go to the radar room next door to check it out. Then she left the cockpit and went to the radar room to contact the commander-in-chief. Xiaoshin, who was in charge of monitoring during this period, immediately told Yu and Dazi about Freya's movements. The two of them stood up and said, let's go to the cockpit first and come back in a while. The others didn't think too much, just nodded and continued to chat with everyone. Seeing that they didn't say anything, Dazi and Xiaoshin walked quickly to the cockpit. On the way, Yu and Dazi took out the crystal ball. Because he couldn't block the radar before, he hadn't opened it. Now that Freya has taken action, it means that the radar has been arranged by her, and Yu and Dazi has no worries. But in order to let the fish bite the hook, it can't be blocked completely for her, so it's better to leave a little signal for her. If there is much signal left, it's probably that the 4G network status suddenly turned into a 2G network. After setting up the signal shielding, the two of them walked into the cockpit together. The first thing they did when they entered the room was to confirm whether there were other people with communication equipment. Lian, I remember you said that your communication equipment broke down shortly after departure, right? Lian turned his head and looked at them. Yes, Freya told us that the communication equipment broke down a long time ago. What happened? Xiaoshin continued to ask. Then there should be no one else on this ship with communication equipment, right? Lian nodded again. Yes, there is only one communication equipment on the ship. Why do you suddenly want to ask this? Yu and Dazi did not reveal the answer directly, but said to them, come with us, let you see how it feels to be betrayed. The three of them couldn't sit still when they heard the word betrayal. Lian walked up to him. What's going on? You must explain it clearly today. Xiaoshin quickly pushed them away. Don't worry, we will talk slowly, but come with us now, don't make any noise. At this time, Freya had contacted the commander-in-chief of the Independence Army. Really, it was so hard to get in touch, but the signal was so bad. Is there something wrong with your equipment? Chapter 236, The Betrayer in the Cosmic Cemetery. The images sent by the other party were also stuck, and a sentence had to be explained in several parts. Moreover, even the Earth data she copied with great difficulty could not be sent out successfully. They walked out of the cockpit, leaving Luoj alone to guard the seat. Yu and Dazi did not plan to change the plot of meeting his father. If they could directly get rid of the robot and go home together, wouldn't everyone be happy? Although Yu and Dazi still didn't understand that he couldn't go directly to fight the boss. On the way, Yu and Dazi asked a lot of questions. Don't you think it's strange? Why did the spacecraft's super time and space voyage deviate from the predetermined orbit? Who has been setting the route? Who can unscrupulously access the communication equipment and then tell you that the equipment is broken? Who told you that the weird planet can land and almost put us in danger? Xiaoshin also asked. When we woke up from there, the hatch was already open. Who could have done it? After you woke up, was there one less person around you? Who was the person who opened the hatch at the end? All of the above should be the same person. The two did not completely believe it, but they were also a little shaken in their hearts. They also recalled that Freya had been a little strange recently, always being mysterious by herself. But Leon still chose to trust the crew again. What you said are all your two guesses? Then where is the evidence? Yu and as he spread his hands nonchalantly and said in a lazy tone, evidence, am I not going to take you to see it? They quietly came to the radar room and opened the hatch. Inside, Freya was wearing headphones and using the communication equipment, and she didn't notice the little sound. They had been standing behind her unknowingly, just watching her. Don't worry, I have taken them to the designated space cemetery. Hey, can you hear me? The screen from the other side flashed, and then only one sentence was heard. I know. Is there anything else? Before the words were finished, the screen went black. Koro and Leon covered their heads, unable to believe this scene. Yu and as he stood by and completely cut off her signal with his crystal ball. Anyway, the evidence was sufficient. Really? What a crap thing. There's no signal now. Freya complained while taking off her headphones. Yu and as he walked behind her and grabbed her when she wasn't paying attention. He turned around and smiled at the captain and the others who were in a state of collapse. Now that the evidence is conclusive, do you have anything else to say? Freya didn't expect that they would be here to observe her. She had finally come this far, but now she was caught. Liang walked up to her slowly and said, we have always believed in you, but why did you do this? She knew that the truth had been revealed, and there was no room for redemption, so she began her final frenzy. I did this for you. Haven't you always wanted a habitable planet? Now you have found it, you just need to take it by force. Liang was also angry. Even if the people of our universe drifting fleet want it very much, we must abide by the ancestral teachings of our ancestors and fight for it in a peaceful way. Hahaha, a peaceful way. Freya looked at them. Just based on these barbarians, why do they talk about peace with us advanced civilizations? When the two of them heard this, they immediately got angry. What right do you have to say that we are barbarians? So Yu and as he put a little more strength in his hand and began to enjoy her wailing. I'm so sorry, we barbarians only know how to use muscles to explain things. Koro and Liang immediately came over to hold Yu and Az's hand, wanting him not to torture Freya. Seeing that she really had no strength left, he relaxed a little, and Freya was able to breathe the fresh air on the ship again. The soul-devouring monument roared in Yu and Az's sea of consciousness. Why did you let her go? I should have just crushed her to death. It's only a matter of time before we deal with this traitor, and her death is a foregone conclusion. But now I don't want people to see me killing people at will. Seeing that she stopped screaming, the young knights breathed a sigh of relief. But Freya felt very uncomfortable when she saw that she had lost so much face in front of her beloved. You barbaric guy, let me show you the result of our evolution. A powerful telekinesis was released, and Leon's face changed. No, Freya, you really have no way out like this. When the telekinesis was about to bombard Yu and Dazhi, another telekinesis hit her sea of consciousness directly. The battle was about to end soon, and the result was obvious. The side that launched the attack later won. Freya's soul was damaged by the mental bombardment, and the tentacles on her head burst in an instant. Her screams echoed in the space, making the members of the Space Knights feel distressed. Izuki-shan withdrew his spiritual power. He had been annoyed with this guy for a long time. This time he taught her a lesson and saved her life. Because Zayanshan just saw Yu and Dazhi had taken out the dagger. If he didn't do something, someone might die. Yu and Dazhi held her in his hand and shook her. There are infinite possibilities for the form of life. What makes you say you are superior to us? Zayanshan also said, yes, every creature has gone through endless years to gradually become like this. There is no distinction between high and low. He casually threw Freya, who had lost everything, to Leon and let the two of them have a good chat. At this moment, a vibration came, and they fell to the ground unexpectedly. After the vibration stopped, Leon muttered to himself, have we arrived at the scheduled location of the universe cemetery that Freya mentioned just now? Yu and Dazhi also thought that the plot of this place was about to begin. Everyone gathered in the cockpit, and Aluoje began to report the situation to the captain. Captain, we have deviated from the normal orbit again, and entered this unknown place. Liang nodded and held Freya, who was almost fainted, in his hands. I'm so sorry, everyone. This is a culprit who put you in danger many times. Before everyone had time to be surprised, they heard a loud noise outside the cabin. Everyone was startled, and turned to look outside the cabin. A lump of red unknown object was attached to the outside of the ship. After seeing it, Shizuka couldn't help, but took 2 steps back. What is this? It looks disgusting. Aluoje had compared it with his own database, and said its basic information, a mineral life form that lives on fuel. While speaking, a large number of red mineral life forms began to attach. Looking through the gap at the large number of spaceships floating outside, everyone's heart sank. Liang sat helplessly on the spaceship, muttering to himself that he was sorry for them. Xiaoshan also sighed. Now I understand why this place is called the Cosmic Cemetery. Soon, the fuel ran out, and the lights in the cabin fell to the bottom along with everyone's hearts. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237 War Robots. Just when everyone was in despair, a missile flew past them. When the mineral life forms saw fresh food coming, they immediately abandoned the empty shell and turned to pursue new food with more fuel. Seeing that things had taken a turn for the better, everyone's hearts once again ignited hope. Fat Tiger looked like he had never seen the world. What is that? Yu and as he immediately rolled his eyes at him. That's a missile, but who launched it? After the missile was absorbed by the mineral life form, it quickly lost power. With a huge burst of light, the missile exploded in space, turning all the life forms into dust. Liang immediately began to operate the control console. We still have spare fuel, which should be enough to support us to leave here. Just as he was about to replace the fuel, Yu and as he stopped him. Don't rush to leave, we still have to see who saved us. His hand operating the machine also stopped, which was considered as tacit agreement with his opinion, ready to wait and see. Sure enough, a voice came from outside. We will guide you to your destination. Please don't resist. Then 4 spaceships flew to them and pulled the spaceship away with guiding beams. Because of Yu and Daz's reminder, the people on the ship became surprisingly quiet. They arrived at their destination safely without saying a word. Where is this? It looks like a fortress. Everyone observed the metal castle outside, wondering who saved them. After entering the fortress, the spaceship of the young knights landed safely under their guidance. At this time, Liang quietly switched the backup fuel and was ready for the next departure. After opening the hatch, Yu and as he and his party appeared in front of them. A man in green military uniform was waiting for everyone on the platform outside. Next to him, there was a man covered in a black robe. Yu and as he frowned. He felt the terrifying darkness on the black-robed man and couldn't help but raise his danger level a little higher. The commander-in-chief looked at Liang and was very pleased. You are worthy of being a knight selected from thousands of miles away. You have helped everyone find the ideal planet. Liang was even more surprised and ran forward. Commander, why are you here? What is this place? Daxing and others were watching them from behind, waiting for the development of things. The black-robed man stepped forward to block the commander and began to explain the origin of this place. This is the frontline base of our independent army. And our independent army is an army with lofty ideals formed to help the Federation obtain a suitable planet for living. Lian thought of what Freya said and realized that they had chosen to violate the ancestral precepts, and anger kept surging in his heart. So, when did you start to violate the ancestral precepts? At this point, the black-robed man smiled proudly. When? It was when you were about to set off to drift. Then the commander also expressed his attitude. Ancestral precepts, that kind of thing will not help us get a suitable planet. As long as we conquer the Earth, everything will be ours. Nobita and others were shocked because they said that their communicator was broken, so there should be no chance to transmit data, right? Lian was not too surprised by this, but calmed down. So you have made up your mind. To forcibly occupy the earth? Yes, you have worked hard this time, Freya. But why don't you have the follow-up information? Where is Freya? The black-robed man and the commander finally realized that something was wrong. The spy they planted was gone. Yu and Dazi casually threw the unconscious Freya in front of him. Is it this little thing? The black-robed man was surprised at first, but then quickly regained his composure. It doesn't matter if she is discovered. Anyway, she has lost her usefulness. The follow-up information should be in the spaceship. Arrest them. Yu and Dazi took out the wooden spirit staff from his hand and released a magic spell that had been prepared long ago. Lightning magic, static force field. The tail of the staff hit the ground and lightning spread on the surface, knocking out all the nearby soldiers. And in a place that no one noticed, a lightning quietly climbed up Freya's body, making her completely dead. The black-robed man saw his performance, and after a brief surprise, he showed an almost crazy possessive desire. Humph, I didn't expect that earthlings are really difficult to deal with. But the stronger you are, the more I like you. It threw its cloak hard, revealing the mechanical body under the cloak. Yu and Dazi suddenly felt a sense of crisis in his heart, because this bastard was too different from the original. He held the staff horizontally in front of himself. What's going on? I remember that it was just a very simple robot in the original work. How can it be called simple now? It is covered with tight devices all over its body, with thick armor, and there is something similar to a transmitter in its brain. This guy is simply a complete war robot. A sense of crisis surged in his heart, and he had no equipment to give up the idea of solo play. Everyone get on the spaceship immediately and leave here quickly. As long as they haven't got the information about the Earth, we haven't lost. The others reacted immediately and ran to the spaceship. And Izuki-chan walked to the side of Yu and Dazi, ready to fight side by side with him. Just as Zayashin stood still, Yu and Dazi and the robot instantly turned into a residual image and then collided in the open space in the middle. This guy's power is really strong. Yu and Dazi was pressed back by the robot. The robot started to mock him. I thought you were a master, but it seems that you are just so-so. Yu and Dazi did not answer, but silently chanted a spell. A few seconds later, his body suddenly grew taller, and muscles appeared on his arms, turning into a manly figure again. The robot immediately sensed something was wrong, because the guy in front of him had increased his strength by about 10 times. It seems that you are not particularly strong. After saying that, Yu and Dazi squeezed his hand hard and deformed it. This time the robot did not speak, and a red light suddenly flashed on his chest. He felt a warning and kicked the robot in the abdomen, sending him flying. Just after flying a few meters, a red laser shot out from his chest, melting a line on the ceiling. Zio-chan suddenly put his hand on the ground, and a dent appeared at the robot's footing, turning it into a pit. When the robot fell into the trap, the two of them immediately used their mental power to control the surrounding land to shrink inward, and a brand new soil ball was formed. Yu and Dazi originally wanted to pursue the enemy, but Zayashin disagreed. Everyone else has already boarded the boat. Let's go too. Considering that the sense of threat was always there in his heart, Yu and Dazi gave up the pursuit, quickly cast the second level wind walk technique on himself, grabbed Izuki-san and prepared to leave. Chapter 238 Escape from the Lair. Just as they were about to reach the spaceship, the earthen dungeon that Dazi and Zayashin had temporarily built collapsed instantly, and the robot pointed its deformed finger at them. You two actually hurt my body. It's simply unforgivable. Dark purple energy emanated from its body, and a layer of black mist was faintly covered in the space. Dazi and Zayashin can both be said to be practitioners of spiritual power, with extremely strong spiritual perception, and immediately distinguished that this evil energy was a collection of negative energy. The robot raised its hand and waved, and the transmitter on its head emitted a purple-black light. A telekinesis lifted the metal floor, trying to destroy everything here with a shockwave. They had to give up the idea of entering the spaceship directly and left, and turned around to prepare for his mental shock. You start the spaceship first. We have to block this attack, so that everyone can leave safely. Yu and Dazi sent this paragraph to the ears of the people above, and then he took out his staff, and prepared to instantly cast a third level magic, Earth magic, Wall of Earth. He used 60% of his magic power to instantly cast this third level magic. A wall of earth appeared on the ground to block the telekinesis, but it only lasted for a second before it was broken. Zayanshin suddenly handed over his necklace at this time. And as he immediately understood his intention and injected all the remaining magic power into the necklace, a blue wind wall appeared in front of them and delayed for another second. The people in the cockpit were already extremely nervous. They saw the intensity of the mental shock, which almost destroyed half of the central square. If it weren't for the earth wall and wind wall blocking it, his spaceship would have been destroyed now. Liang started the spaceship in a hurry and began to slowly leave the ground. And as he no longer had magic power, but the power of the shockwave was still very strong, and he needed to be stopped again. The two of them communicated with each other with their mental power, and combined their mental power for the last time, to jointly create a barrier, to block the mental shock. But when their two barriers met the guy's attack, the mental power barriers of the two were almost broken in an instant. Because the difference in power was too large, and the opponent's soul power was a collection of negative emotions, the lethality itself far exceeded the mental power, so it collapsed at the touch of a button. Puff. The two of them spat out blood because of their mental damage, and then Yu and Dazi pulled Zayanshin behind him and used his body to resist the impact. After 3 weakened mental shocks, they failed to kill him directly. After paying the price of several fractures, they were knocked out and fell into the open hatch. Moreover, the spaceship also moved forward a big step because of the impact force that was weakened to the extreme and soon approached the entrance of the fortress. Seeing that his full strength attack was in vain, the robot immediately attacked the energy core in anger. Damn it, how could I let you go so easily? He raised his hand up, and countless tentacles appeared on the surface. These are the resentment left by those slaves. Experience it well. The purple-black attack quickly entangled the spaceship, and Zayanshin vomited blood again in the cabin. Now he basically has no fighting power. And as he forced himself to be energetic, and began to think about what else could be used to eliminate these resentments. Resentment. Oh, right, there's that trick. He took out a dagger and cut his hand, blood flowing down. Spiritual mantra, word of life. Under the guidance of the mantra, the blood turned into ancient characters and fell on the tentacles that tied up the spaceship. The tentacles and the ancient characters are like water and fire, which cannot coexist, and the two began to consume each other crazily. They were lucky. The ancient word of life melted the tentacles, and the spaceship was able to leave here. Seeing that they were finally safe, and as he fainted, both of them fell into a coma due to mental trauma, and the soul-devouring monument finally took action. This kid's injury is too serious. Let's save the other one first, and do that thing by the way. The soul-devouring monument observed the physical conditions of the two of them, and immediately decided to abandon Yu and Dazi to save the one with the lighter injury. A spiritual force slowly passed into Zayanshin's sea of consciousness, repairing his originally damaged sea of consciousness, and replenishing his spiritual power at the same time. Zayanshin, who had recovered, woke up quickly, while the others were using the universal medical kit to treat Yu and Dazi's injuries. Multiple fractures, brain damage, declining vital signs. How did he survive with such injuries? Doraemon looked at the universal medical kit, and his brows furrowed more tightly with each symptom he mentioned. Great, Zayanshin, you finally woke up. Shizuka looked at him happily, after seeing Dekisugi wake up. Nobita next to him was jealous, but he didn't know what to say. After all, the two people on the ground were lying on the ground so that everyone could evacuate safely. Zayanshin saw that Yu and Dazi still hadn't woken up and remembered what the soul-devouring monument said just now. I have to save energy now, so you go and treat his physical injuries and leave the rest to me. Zayanshin immediately said, all of you get out of the way, I can heal you and classmate. Everyone didn't understand, but still listened to him, and carried Yu and Dazi to the small room next door. Zayanshin's mental power has recovered about 60%, and there is no problem in reconstructing a skeleton. After spending more than half an hour, all the fractures were reconstructed. The soul-devouring monument also replenished half of Yu and Dazi's mental power, allowing him to wake up. The first thing Yu and Daisy did after waking up was to check his physical condition. Well, the injuries on his body are fine, but he is a little weak after using the spiritual spell. After confirming that there was nothing serious, the two of them reached an agreement to go out and erase their memories of superpowers. Back in the cockpit, Liang and his team were driving the spaceship. Are you awake? We are almost finding the fleet now. Luoj began to analyze the data. According to the fleet's route, we can probably meet the drifting space fleet in 20 minutes. And our information has been told to the members of the fleet through Freya's communicator. When the time comes, please go out and testify against the crimes committed by the Commander-in-Chief. Yu and Daisy shook his head. In this rebellion, the Commander-in-Chief is actually not important. As long as the robot is dealt with, he will naturally return to normal. Liang suddenly stood up and said to him seriously, "Are you serious?" Seeing his reaction, Yu and Daisy remembered that Liang seemed to be the commander's son. That's right, that robot has the ability to confuse people's minds. They did that because they were deceived by the monster. Liang's mood suddenly became high. Great, in that case, we just need to get rid of Moya. Then he fell again. But that guy, can humans defeat him with that kind of power? At this moment, Fat Tiger suddenly remembered. Classmate Gian, why didn't you take out your sword this time? Xiaoshan also suddenly remembered this and asked him. Yes, and that cloak? Gian, and as he glanced at them and said lightly, Fat Tiger broke it yesterday, so I took it to someone else to repair it. Everyone looked at him with an expression that said, if you believe me, there's nothing you can do. Chapter 239, Spirit of the Sacred Tree. Seeing their expressions, Yu and Daisy knew that he had changed the subject, so he calmly extended his hand to Doraemon. The blue fat man saw him extending his hand to him and was a little puzzled. What? Do you want some props from me? Yu and Daisy said, as if it was a matter of course. Do you even need to ask? Of course, I'll take out the Earth-destroying bomb. I'm going to blow up his hometown directly. Absolutely not. Everyone present opposed him together. There are still many innocent civilians there. He picked his ears helplessly. Their voices were a bit loud just now, and now he has a little tinnitus. Just when everyone was about to continue to talk back at him, Luoj suddenly shouted, "Great, we've seen the fleet." Everyone's attention was instantly drawn to it, and they cast their eyes on the screen. A fleet that had no end in sight appeared in front of them. Yu and Daisy looked at the mothership and exclaimed, "My god, this fleet is too big, isn't it? This size is comparable to a small planet. It's so huge. Is it really made by humans?" Chumushin was also deeply shocked by this scene, because this thing is simply the pinnacle of technology. They were sucked back by the fleet's reception beam, and the staff received them at the spacecraft berth. All the young knights of the manuscript galaxy have worked hard. Please go to the council to report immediately. Then he changed the subject and said to these alien visitors, all the earthlings of the manuscript 3 galaxy are very welcome to come here. Because Luoj had already reported their affairs, everyone was not surprised by this. After getting off the spacecraft, they came to the special passage of the Space Young Knights, and an internal transportation vehicle was waiting for them inside. Following Liang and the others, they came to the council and reported the general process of the matter to the people in the council. No, it should not be said that they are people. Each member of the council present has his own characteristics, such as the big catfish, the oxhead, the horseface, and the Emperor Jiang. Seeing this, Yu and Daisy wanted to start the pot and boil the oil. During the entire meeting, he never took his eyes off the adult-looking Jiang, because Yu and Daisy thought that he must be very delicious, and eating him could help him replenish his lost blood. The father of Korokoro felt uncomfortable when he was stared at by him, and always felt that this human didn't have good intentions towards him. After listening to what the earthlings said, President Catfish fell into deep thought. According to you, the Commander-in-Chief has prepared a lot of spaceships to seize the fleet by force. Yes, and he also wants to occupy the planet where these earthlings are. Miyotao turned his head and said, of course we don't agree to seize it by force. But we can't deal with the Commander-in-Chief's fleet. The adult Jiang also said, yes, we haven't fought a war in the past few hundred years. Everyone fell into a brief silence and finally made a unified decision. Since everyone has their own ideas, let's go to the Holy Land to seek help from the gods. Holy Land? God? Those who have never lived there don't know what these words represent. Catfish stood up. Please come with us. We will find the answers we need soon. On the transportation, Nobita asked Liang, what is that Holy Land? Are there really gods living in it? Liang smiled and explained to them, the Holy Land is the only place with green plants here, and the one living in it cannot be said to be a god, but it is a sacred tree that has been with us for 300 years, the Ujit tree. You will know it soon. After listening to his brief explanation, Nobita and others' doubts were not only not solved, but even heavier. But soon they saw the Ujit tree. For 300 years, the Ujit tree has not stopped growing. Now it is hundreds of meters high and exudes endless vitality. And as he looked at it, and the life pattern on the talisman lit up, resonating with it, the opportunity cannot be missed. He immediately entered a deep state of perception and at the same time told Zyadishan not to disturb him. Everyone came under the Ujit tree and many white crystals appeared in the almost endless branches. Each crystal was emitting a soft light which made people feel peaceful. The head of the jury standing at the front, Catfish, took a step aside. Lian, this time you will ask for guidance. What? Why me? He didn't expect that he would be asked to go up because many people present were more qualified than him. But Catfish had made up his mind. Yes, it's you. This time you discovered the planet Earth, encountered the Independence Army, and successfully escaped and returned here. You are at the center of the vortex of this incident. No one is more suitable than you. Lian no longer refused, walked under the Ujit tree, and placed his hand on the white crystal. Nobita then remembered the crystal, and took it out of his pocket. Luoja touched his head. Strange. Isn't this the fruit that Lian lost? Why is it with you? The sacred tree had already sensed Lian's doubts, and a ray of light fell, turning into Lian's mother standing in front of him. I can't believe it. Lian's mother, didn't she die a long time ago? The people in the council were stunned by this miracle and hurriedly began to pray. Liang grabbed his mother's hand. Mom, Dad is like a different person now. He has given up his ancestral teachings and wants to use force to occupy the earth. The incarnation of the will of the sacred tree said seriously. Yes, I already know. Liang, remember, he became like this because of Angal Moya. Defeat him, and everything will naturally return to normal. Mom, can you tell me what happened? The phantom nodded. Moya is the product of the dark side of human heart, attached to a machine. You should know this because of him. He constantly transforms and improves himself while absorbing more dark power and gradually becomes extremely powerful. When I found out, I was powerless to stop him. Then, he controlled the commander-in-chief and several other important figures to form an independent army. The purpose is to create killing and panic and make it stronger. If we defeat him, everything will return to normal. Liang has no confidence in himself, but Moya is too strong. We are no match at all. The phantom touched his head gently. It's okay. With these earthlings helping you, we can definitely defeat them. Nobita and the others patted their chests in the back, indicating that they were also very reliable. By the way, this is my gift, as a thank you for saving my child. The shadow of the sacred tree raised its hand, and two rays of light sank into the sea of consciousness of Dazi and Zyadishan. No matter what, we can't compromise. Otherwise the only consequence for us is destruction. I will always accompany you and protect you with the fruit of the sacred tree. Don't hesitate, go forward bravely. Chapter 240 Stealing the House. After Liang's mother disappeared, everyone asked them, Chumushan, what exactly was the gift she gave you just now? Zyadishan felt his strength and mental power and just smiled without saying anything. Just now, his mental power increased by about half, which was a big improvement. The benefit that Yu and Dazi received was a strong vitality, which not only filled up his health bar, but also strengthened his physical fitness by about 20%. Nothing, just a small gift. Yu and Dazi had also withdrawn from his perception, and he had gained a lot just now. Seeing that they all kept silent about this, Dakshin and the others did not force it, because now was not the time to worry about this. Seeing that they had regained their spirits, the catfish also issued a statement. We must fight to the end the Independence Army that violated the ancestral teachings. In the distance, the chess piece left by Moya in the spaceship sent back the news and smashed the computer angrily. Damn, those damn Earthlings, have they joined forces with the people on the Ark so quickly? He once again launched mind control. Lebelt, immediately order the entire army to attack and must occupy the Jaya and obtain the data and coordinates of the Earth. In the face of this powerful mental power, the commander-in-chief issued an order without any resistance. All troops are fully mobilized to launch a general attack on the Jaya. The people below immediately sat in their seats and began to operate the drone to set off. They returned to the council and were about to discuss how to formulate a battle plan. But just as they sat down and had no time to speak, bad news came from outside. Not good. The radar on the spaceship detected that many UFOs are approaching. The catfish's face suddenly became gloomy. I didn't expect them to come so quickly. The other animals were also panicked and were discussing what to do. What should we do? We have no experience in dealing with the enemy fleet. Yes, and our war weapons have not been used for a long time. We have almost forgotten how to operate them. No one had a clear opinion. Catfish, as the backbone, had to stand up. Everyone, stop arguing. Since the god said we can't retreat, then we have to move forward. Order all members of the Space Knights who are still on the Jaya to drive their spaceships and set off immediately to fight. Leon immediately saluted. Yes. Then he turned and left. He is also a member of the Space Knights, and he has no choice but to take part in this war. Doraemon also walked up to them. Let's help too. Nobita also wanted to go to the battlefield, but he had to raise a very realistic question. But we don't have a spaceship. Isn't this simple? Doraemon smiled and took out a prop that they were very familiar with from his pocket. Space Voyage game set. Here, he unfolded the prop. Let's use the spaceship in this game to reinforce. Seeing that they could also play a role on the battlefield, everyone saluted the council. They followed the instructions to the Takeoff cabin, and then Doraemon took out the spaceship and let them in. Just when Yu and Daisy was about to jump in, the soul-devouring monument in the Sea of Consciousness suddenly stopped him. Wait a minute, take these two things. I think you should know how to do the rest. Then, it took out two things from the space and put them in Yu and Daz's hand. He put away the props handed over. Of course I know. Don't worry, I will never let you down. After that, he also jumped into the game group, and the green uniform and helmet appeared on Yu and Daisy again. This time I'm different. I'm green and stronger. He teased himself, got on his own game spaceship and set off. Small spaceships flew out of the game group and joined the battlefield from the hatch. When Yu and Daisy flew out of the hatch and saw the battlefield situation clearly, he couldn't help but blurt out fuck. The knights here are really the most peace-loving knights. They haven't fought a war for hundreds of years. They have successfully created a new achievement of missing a bullet and being touched by others and running away. Yu and Daisy and his team had only flown for a few dozen seconds when they saw no less than 10 brand new spaceships returning with minor injuries. So Nobita and his team drove their spaceships to shoot down several drones, and then they were trapped by drones. The others were similar. There was nothing they could do about it. They only had dozens of spaceships, and most of them had less combat power than air. Only their 7 game consoles and the spaceship driven by Liang were of some use at the scene. Seeing that these people were useless, Yu and Daisy could only go over and tear down the wall. Chumushin, let's go and tear down their base directly. Others, find a way to cover us and buy us some time. The two of them used their mental power to detect the surrounding laser nets and kept slipping through the gaps in the nets. Liang saw that Yu and Daisy and Chumushin had successfully broken through, and they also regained their spirits and began to contain the drones. 10 minutes later, the two of them arrived on the surface of the planet. According to his memory, he went directly to find the command tower. Because before they came out, Doraemon had sprayed everyone with spacesuit spray, so there was no need to worry about the air problem for the time being. Chumushin also came over. Is our target this tower? Yu and Daisy nodded. Yes, as long as it is demolished, all the drones outside will be paralyzed. Then, He cast a 3rd level giant force technique on himself, and his body became burly. Move aside, I'm afraid this tower will fall and hit you. He gently pushed Zayashi away, and then used the basic technique of the demon race's physical technique, exploding mountain. He punched the outside of the small metal tower. The metal shell made a sound of being unable to bear the weight, and it quickly deformed, and finally broke into 2 halves. All the drones outside stopped, because they lost the signal. The staff inside the spire were startled by the vibration, and then found that their signal transmission tower had been destroyed. Report to the commander, all our drones have lost control, and can no longer be used. The commander was silent for a while, and ordered, since we have come to this point, we have no choice but to start the final plan, and occupy the control room of the Jaia mothership. The staff below did not hesitate at all. Understood. I will start the parasitic tower now. Just as the staff were about to start the operation, a black wormhole suddenly appeared above. The robot Moa reacted almost instantly. This thing is a space teleportation. But it was too late. The small figure of Yu and Dazi had already emerged. How could I let you succeed so easily? Eat my Rasengan. The frivolous voice echoed in this closed space, and Yu and Dazi smashed the big fireball prepared before the teleportation on the console below. Bang! A huge explosion made everyone present temporarily deaf. Ahem. You damn earthlings, I will devour your souls. Moya stretched out his hand, and used his mental power, to remove the dust in the air. The smoke and dust dissipated, and the console with a big hole in it appeared in his camera. At this moment, he felt that his energy core was about to explode. Chapter 241, The Demise of Moya. Moya's fingers trembled with anger. Damn it, I spent several years preparing, and you just destroyed it. Yu and as he patted the dust off his body, as the saying goes, 1 minute on stage takes 10 years of hard work off stage. You have been preparing for several years and only lasted for a few seconds, which means you are not well prepared. Start over. He was very angry with Yu and Dazi. What kind of nonsense is this? He put his hand on the ground. Just watch how I torture you to death. Dazi immediately felt the vibration of the ground and jumped up quickly. Under the influence of Moya's mental power, spikes emerged from the metal surface, piercing the place where he was standing. Then Moya locked his eyes on Yu and Dazi, who had escaped into the air, and held him tightly with a telekinesis. You little bug, are you ready to face your fate? Yu and Dazi looked at him calmly. You know, I actually had a weapon. Moya smiled nonchalantly. So what? Will I give you a chance to take it out? He let go of his worries. At this time, he was most afraid that people would not talk to him. If they talked to him, it would be easier. Aren't you curious about where my weapon is now? Moya immediately felt a little bit of conspiracy and tried to strangle Yu and Dazi to death. But Yu and Dazi still had the embrace of the goddess of dawn on his body. This magic weapon now had enough power to support it, and Moya couldn't break it for a while. The soul-devouring monument had taken out Yu and Dazi's 2 weapons from the black hole just now, and now it fell into a deep sleep due to energy reasons. So before getting on the spaceship, he specifically told him to rest assured. Just when he focused all his attention on Yu and Dazi, a black light in the sky broke through the layers of obstruction and aimed at Moya's head. This was the second-hand preparation made by Yu and Dazi and Mushan before teleporting. Because Yu and Dazi was going to destroy the control console, the dark blade was temporarily controlled by Mushan. It must be said that he caught the timing very well. Just when Moya was distracted by Yu and Dazi, he guided the blade to fall. When Moya realized that something was wrong, he reacted at his fastest speed and avoided his host. But Mushan did not intend to aim at his host. His target was the antenna on Moya's head from the beginning. When the blade brushed past Moya's head and took away the transmitter, Moya knew that he had failed. Yu and Dazi suddenly felt the pressure on him loosen, and he fell to the ground. He stood up, dusted off the dust, and said to Zayashi, it seems that your speculation is correct. This guy can have such a strong mental power, which is inseparable from the antenna on his head. Don't be careless. Although Moya's antenna has been cut off, he is not dead yet. Zayashi stood up from the ground and looked at Moya with the dark blade. Yu and as he also shook his black cloak. At this time, the magic pattern on the golden cloak also became dark, which looked indescribably weird, but seemed very harmonious. After absorbing a lot of dark energy, the embrace of the goddess of dawn can no longer be called this name. Now it no longer represents dawn, but has been sublimated, after experiencing the life of the sun. Xiaoshin's sword blade collided with the robot hand, leaving a lot of cracks on the robot. And as he was responsible for controlling other ordinary people, so that they would not suddenly join the battle, and cause them any unpredictable impact. Now that they are on the verge of victory, there is absolutely no possibility of failure. Xiaoshin quickly chopped the robot into scrap metal, and followed and Daz's advice to retreat quickly. Sure enough, a mass of black unknown objects flowed out from the surface of the robot, and crawled towards the nearby machines. As long as there are machines, I haven't lost. I'm just a little bit away. Even now. And as he threw a necklace, which was the ornament he got from Letina, the source of darkness. He threw this little thing accurately on Moya. When the source of darkness came into contact with Moya's body, Moya was horrified to find that his body began to be absorbed by this thing. What the hell is this thing? Since it can absorb my dark power. No, don't. Moya soon discovered something that made him more terrified. That is, this thing only absorbed his power, but did not take away his consciousness. In other words, his body and soul began to separate. If this continued, Moya would be infinitely weakened by this small bead. Without the support of the dark power, it would die completely. He wanted to escape immediately, but Dazi and Xiaoshin jointly set up a soul barrier around him, and he couldn't get out at all. Please, let me go. As long as you let me go, I'm willing to do anything. Moya began to kneel down and beg for mercy, but the two of them had no mercy at all. It would be better to completely eliminate this restless factor. Amid screams, Moya's power was completely absorbed by the source of darkness, and his dark soul also completely dissipated in the wailing. After confirming Moya's death, and Azzy took back the source of darkness, and its color became deeper than before. The other people who were restrained by and Azzy had also returned to normal, and began to look around in confusion. Strange. What did I do? Why am I here? And Azzy nodded. It seems that the problem here has been completely solved. Others also drove the spacecraft here, because they were worried about them. Everyone, look, there is a hole there. You can go down from there. Shizuka saw the big hole that Xiaoshin drilled out, and told everyone what she found. Okay, then, we'll use this to go down, and spray the mole. The blue fat man took out a mole robot, and placed it on the ground, and pressed the start button. The little mole was like a chicken with blood, his hands turned into tornadoes, and he dug frantically on the ground. Everyone followed the expanded cave all the way down and soon came to the platform where they were. After Nobita and others came down, they found that there were a lot of metal spikes on the ground. Help, Mom. Everyone hugged each other tightly, praying for a miracle to save his life. At this time, Xiaoshin saw that the boss had been solved, and was returning his equipment to Yu and Dazuki. Ah, why did you come down at this time? Seeing that they were about to become skewers, Dazuki quickly threw out his cloak, which became bigger, and covered the thorns. Everyone landed on his cloak, bounced on it a few times, and landed safely. What is this? Everyone was very curious when they saw the cloak that Yu and Dazuki had just thrown out. He naturally pushed the blame on the sun god. The sun god's cloak, you should have seen me use it. Then he walked over and grabbed the cloak, shaking his hands hard. Everyone was thrown out by him and fell heavily to the ground. Then he put on the cloak and said, "Don't damage my cloak, it's much more valuable than you." TSK, what? Sonia stood up unhappily. I'll ask my mother to buy me a more dazzling cloak. Everyone stood up, looking at the surrounding spikes and metal fragments on the ground, and asked, "Have you dealt with Moya?" They nodded. "Yes, that guy is still a little troublesome to deal with, but we have dismantled it." "Yeah. Great. We finally won." Nobita and the others began to cheer. Leon next to him suddenly became depressed. He was worried about whether his father had recovered. Chapter 242 Epilogue. When Liang was depressed, he heard his father's voice behind him. "Liang, I'm so sorry, I'll let Moya control me." Turning his head, he found that his father was looking at him, and had taken off his helmet. Seeing this, He also understood that his father had returned. Liang immediately wiped his tears and rushed over to hug him. Others also smiled at the touching scene of the father and son reuniting. But when the two hugged each other tightly, Yu and Daisy suddenly felt uncomfortable. Really, why do you have to make such a touching scene for no reason? At that time, he threw his cloak and walked into the passage next to him. At this time, there were still many mechanical guards inside, which gave him a little surprise. I'm in a bad mood today. I'm really sorry to take it out on you. He put on the hood of the cloak and then wiped the hood with his hand, as if he was wiping his hair. The Dark Star cloak received the command and began to transform, and the hair part turned into a dark golden helmet. Metal spikes emerged from the surface. The body part turned into a dark golden armor, and even the surrounding light seemed to be absorbed by it. This Hella's look is pretty good, so I decided to go with it. Yu and Daisy imitated Hella from the movie in his previous life, and found that the current look was pretty good, and the transformation action was also pretty cool. And this was not just a random imitation. The spikes on the top of the head have the effect of strengthening mental power, and the armor on the body can enhance physical attributes. In terms of function, the current Dark Star cloak has completely surpassed the embrace of the Dawn Goddess. He flicked his hand, and the dark blade appeared in his hand. Then the whole person turned into an afterimage, flashing in front of the robots that had not had time to shoot. After clearing all the robots in the base, I also felt a burst of fatigue. Hundreds of robots, standing there for a while to be attacked, let alone an ordinary person like him who didn't have any buffs. He kicked the head of the last robot away and put away the armor that the Dark Star cloak had transformed into. Okay, I feel much better now. But this time the cloak has gained a lot of benefits from it. He looked at the dark blade in his hand again, wondering what new functions it has now. Because its spirit has not grown up yet, he basically has no way to communicate with it now. It's almost time to go back. Don't let them wait too long. The second level wind walk appeared on his body, and he began to return along the original route. When Yu and Daisy returned to the room, the two people in the middle were still lingering there. Really, I can't stand it. Yu and Daisuke, who couldn't stand it anymore, walked in front of Doraemon, opened his pocket and got in. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, I thought of it. The blue fat man's expression changed from panic to surprise. I remembered that my two four-dimensional pockets are connected. No matter how far they can be together. The others also slapped their heads and followed Yu and Daisy to get in. When it was Nobita's turn, he quietly waved goodbye to Lian and then got in. Lian was still talking to his father and didn't notice that we had left. Xiaoshan was the last one to leave, but he suddenly said, Doraemon, how are you going to get back? The blue fat man waved his hand and said, don't worry, I have my own way. Xiaoshan then got into Doraemon's pocket. Seeing that everyone else had also gone in, Doraemon also glanced at Liang and said, anyway, thank you for bringing us this space trip. After thanking him, Doraemon also got into his pocket. But this time, the pocket on Doraemon's abdomen also rolled up from the bottom and sank into the pocket and finally disappeared in the original space. I don't know what the principle is. He was very interested in the props inside when he entered the pocket space for the first time. Many of them were things he had never seen before. Of course, many of the props were useless, like the umbrella that would rain. There were also some causal artifacts, such as the pre-written diary. Yu and Daisy found another exit and got out from there. The outside was still the familiar scene, but it was late at night. The others slowly came out of the pocket, and Doraemon looked very angry. I told you not to touch my props, don't you understand? Fat Tiger touched his head and reluctantly returned the props he had just taken. Then the two of us will say goodbye first. The two looked at the people who were going to stay at Nobita's house for one night and said goodbye to them. Because they didn't have the key, they could only stay at Nobita's house. And Xiaoshan's house was usually empty, so every time he went out, it didn't make any difference whether he brought the key or not. Recalling the experience of the past 2 days, Xiaoshan was still a little scared. It's great to be able to come back alive. I was really worried about dying there. Hearing his words, Yu and Daisy smiled. How can it be that easy? Neither of us are ordinary people. Then why, all the futures don't have your shadow? He seized this opportunity and immediately asked Mushin. Gian and as he also asked him back, then have you ever thought that the future you see is not real? This is what the soul-devouring monument told him, and he didn't know what he meant. But at this time, just confront him. In this way, the two of them went back to the house noisily, washed up and went to bed. They hadn't had a good rest in the past 2 days, so they must have a good dream tonight. The next morning, they both got up early. Zayashi, why did you get up so early? He looked at Dashi in confusion. Don't you have to go to school today? Shouldn't I get up earlier? Gian and Dashi also looked at him in confusion. Isn't it Sunday today? After the two of us looked at each other, we immediately rushed downstairs and turned on the TV. Now it's the morning news on February 17th. Hearing this, Gian and Dashi's hanging heart was immediately put down. It seems that today is indeed Sunday. You worry too much. Shizuka and the others also returned to their own home. Because they had informed their parents in advance, their parents were not too worried, but just reminded them to remember to do their homework. Because no one did their homework, everyone was very quiet on Sunday. Gian and Dashi was also able to practice quietly for a whole day. But it only lasted for 1 day. The next day he received bad news. What did you say? Fat Tiger wants to hold a concert in the open space today. Yu and Dashi stared at Chumushin with dead fish eyes. So you won't take the initiative to agree to it for me again? I tell you, today, even if you die outside or jump from here, I will never go. Chapter 243 Money Flies. In the afternoon, Dashi and Zayashi came to the open space. The main reason for coming here this time was because Doraemon promised that the songs sung by Fat Tiger would never be bad. If they were really bad, Yu and Dashi swore to wipe Fat Tiger out of here. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Fat Tiger stood on his small wooden box on time. I'm glad that everyone can come to my concert. This is my special concert to commemorate our return from space. Gian and Dashi heard that Fat Tiger's voice was his original voice, and he immediately felt bad. There was a flash of lightning in his hand. If there was no change, he would really kill him with a bolt of lightning. Just when he was about to sing, Doraemon stepped forward in time to save his life. Fat Tiger, before you sing, do you want a candy first? It's good for your voice. Fat Tiger was going to refuse, but when he heard Doraemon say it was good for his voice, he immediately agreed. He put the pink candy in his mouth. This tastes really good. After chewing the candy a few times, Fat Tiger licked his lips with his tongue and started his concert. When he spoke again, everyone in the room was stunned. Because the singing that came out of his mouth was like the sound of nature, which made people calm and peaceful. Although his lyrics were still so rude, it was not offensive at all when sung with this voice. Yu and Dashi comfortably put his hands behind his head. This candy has a good effect. It can even save Fat Tiger's voice. Zayashi also nodded. Yes, this song was completely saved by the voice. Just when they were not paying attention, a man in a white suit got out of a luxury car behind them. He just accidentally heard Fat Tiger singing and took off his sunglasses involuntarily. The longer he listened, the happier he felt. This kid is very good. I should try to get in touch with him. The man in the suit made up his mind and listened to the whole concert quietly. Yu and Dashi stretched himself lazily. Today's singing was very good. It was the best he had heard in a while. Fortunately, that idiot Nobita didn't give him the delayed candy, otherwise he would definitely be the first to kill Doraemon. Speaking of this, he remembered the fear of being dominated by Fat Tiger's singing last night. It rained heavily that night, and thunder and lightning kept raging outside their window. Many old people said that it was because God couldn't stand it. After the audience left, the man in the suit walked to Fat Tiger's side. Hey little boy, are you interested in participating in our show? After saying that, the man in the suit handed Fat Tiger a postcard. Back home, while Zayashi went downstairs to cook dinner, Yu and Dashi quietly took out the lottery ticket. Once again, it was confirmed that the lottery draw date was tomorrow. He suppressed his excitement. This kind of thing must not be publicized. At times like this, you must make a super double and make a fortune in silence. When you tell others about your wealth, troubles will follow. For example, Sunia is being chased by Fat Tiger every day. Just when Yu and Dashi began to fantasize, a voice from below pulled him back to reality. Dashi-kun, Come down and help me. I'm too busy here. He put the lottery ticket back into his cloak with some disappointment. TSK, it really ruined my fun. Then he replied, got it. I'll be down right away. Anyway, the homework has been done, so I can spend as much time as I want today, and there is no need to rush. Zyadishan below was cooking, and when she saw him coming down, she said, help me deal with the fish over there. I want to make steamed fish. Looking at this still fresh fish, Yu and Dazi said he was not interested. It's just a fish. How can it be as good as the lottery ticket he is about to win 300 million? After school the next day, he immediately bought a newspaper of the day. Let me see. Lottery winning area. First prize 380 million yen. Number 77,848,265. Then he took out his own lottery ticket. The number on it was 77,848,265. Exactly the same as the number on this one. He won the jackpot. From now on, he will buy 2 copies of things, eat one and throw away the other. He happily folded the newspaper and put it away with the lottery ticket. When he got home, he saw Zyadishan was still studying, so he went over and took away his pen. Hey, what are you doing? He turned his head and looked at Yu and Dazi unhappily. You are not going to tutor Nobita today. Why are you so idle to bother me? Without saying a word, he smeared the newspaper on his face and then took out his lottery ticket and asked him to take a good look. Do I still need to tutor that guy? I won 300 million. How could I be short of that little money? Zyadishan also compared it carefully and found that Yu and Dazi actually won 300 million. And he was still talking about his future fantasy. Great. I want to eat the best food. And I want to buy the best house in downtown Tokyo and move in. And when Izuki heard the key words, buy a house and move in, he suddenly didn't want Yu and Dazi to win the 300 million. After struggling for a few seconds, he still used his soul power to quietly change the 8 on the lottery ticket to 3. He was silent for a while before he spoke. Dazi, there seems to be a wrong number on your lottery ticket. Yu and Dazi was suddenly struck by a bolt from the blue. Wrong number? He quickly snatched the lottery ticket back and checked the number on the ticket again. When he looked at it carefully, he found that the number on his lottery ticket was 77,843,256. Just one number difference made him miss 300 million. After learning the truth, he knelt on the ground in disappointment, and his whole body turned grey. How could it be? Is this the will of the world, making it impossible for us to have these riches? Just like that, Yu and Dazi's world began to slowly collapse, and there was nothing left. After a while, woo, I tell you, it was really just a little bit. Gurgle gurgle. He drank a bottle of beer, threw the bottle away, and continued to cry while holding him. Why are the two of them so careless? Can't they look more carefully? Gurgle gurgle. After saying that, he drank another bottle of beer. Zyadishan worriedly snatched the remaining beer from him, wondering if this blow was too heavy. Don't stop me, I must drink to my heart's content today. Yu and Dazi said as he tried to snatch the beer bottle again. Zyadishan used his mental strength to stop him. Enough. In Japan, if you let children drink, adults will go to jail. Seeing that he was silent for a while, Zyadishan put his hand on my shoulder. It's okay, the money is gone. Isn't it no different from the previous life? And it's good here. Everyone will accompany you. Why do you have to take 300 million? Yu and Dazi held his hand and continued to cry. You accompany me, you pay me the 300 million. After that, he threw Izuki out of the window. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244 4 Piece. After throwing Chumushin out, Yu and Dazi picked up 2 more bottles of wine, pried open the bottle caps with his thumbs, and gulped them down. Zyadishan downstairs finally couldn't bear it anymore, and went upstairs to change the numbers back with his mental power. Okay, I'll give you 300 million as compensation. I changed these numbers, I'll change them back now. Okay. After saying that, he threw the lottery ticket with the numbers restored to normal to Yu and Dazi. But after he caught it, He tore it into pieces without even looking at it. Do you think I'm stupid? You lied to me like this. Who would believe that someone like you would change my lottery ticket? After saying that, he burned the pile of debris into ashes, out of sight, out of mind. Zyadishan looked at the powder on the ground, and his heart began to struggle again. It feels good to be trusted by others, but I always feel more sorry for him. And now it's impossible to recover like this, and even if it is restored, it's not much different from making a new one. After saying that, Yu and Daisy opened 2 more bottles of beer, and prepared to drink them. Seeing him like this, Zyadishan sent a soul shock into Yu and Daz's sea of consciousness. With the unanimous agreement of the Dark Star Cloak, the Crystal Ball, and the soul-devouring monument, none of the 3 defensive magic devices responded. He passed out holding the wine bottle. Zyadishan cleaned up the garbage that Daisy had just made, and then saw his homework. Forget it, I'll just finish it for him this time. As he said this, he picked up the pen, and finished today's homework at his seat. After a while, Demishan put down his pen. Is it only 8 o'clock? Forget it, I'll go to bed early today. His matter just now was troublesome enough. I hope it will be better tomorrow morning. After that, he put away Yu and Daz's things, then went downstairs to wash up and prepare for bed. The next morning, Yu and Dazi was still awakened by his biological clock. After waking up, he covered his head with a splitting headache and began to recall what happened last night. I remember I misread a number on the lottery ticket, so I lost 300 million. Then what happened? Just then, Chumushin next to him turned over silently, praying in his heart, I can't remember. I can't remember. Suddenly, Yu and Dazi had a flash of inspiration and slapped his head. I remember. Chumushin's forehead was covered with a few drops of sweat. Later, Junfei saw that I couldn't bear the blow, so he changed the number on the lottery ticket to comfort me. Zyadishan was relieved when he heard him say this and prepared to sit up and change clothes. But he seemed to have said something before. What was it? Zyadishan saw that Dazi didn't notice that he had woken up and lay down again silently. It seems that everyone is accompanying me and something else was changed. Just when Yu and Dazi seemed to have caught some inspiration, his stomach suddenly growled. Forget it, it shouldn't be important anyway. I'd better go and solve my breakfast. I didn't even have dinner last night. After saying that, he changed his clothes and went out to buy breakfast. Zyadishan then got up and took a deep breath to calm his heartbeat. I was scared to death. If he really remembered it, I'm afraid our friendship would be broken, right? After buying breakfast and coming back, he had let it go. Anyway, he didn't particularly need the money, so if it's gone, it's gone. Don't rich people and poor people have to live the same life? Why bother about something that never belonged to him? Seeing that Yu and Daz's mental state had almost recovered, he was relieved. He was worried that he would suffer some mental trauma due to the heavy blow. After breakfast, he was ready to greet a new day. Just at lunch today, Sunia suddenly called Nobita out. Yu and Dazi was very curious what made Sunia want to talk to Nobita alone. So he released his mental power and eavesdropped on their conversation at his seat. Sunia looked around mysteriously and then whispered, Nobita, it's bad. I just got the news this morning that Fat Tiger will participate in the Super Junior show this afternoon. Yu and Dazi didn't know what the Super Junior show was, but he could see that Nobita's face became extremely terrified. Are you talking about that super popular show that almost every household has to watch, the Super Junior show? Sunia nodded. Yes, my dad's friend on TV told me today. What should I do? Do you remember the last time? Nobita recalled that the last time Fat Tiger was on TV, hospitals throughout Japan were overcrowded, and people with common colds were not eligible to enter. Yu and Dazi also shuddered in the classroom when he heard the news. Although he really didn't watch that crappy show, his neighbors from all directions had to watch it. When everyone turns on the TV, they will be surrounded by Fat Tigers singing. What's the difference between being there in person? Nobita immediately said to Sunia, I know. In order to prevent the tragedy from happening, we will definitely send the good voice candy over. After they reached an agreement, the two returned to their seats, as if nothing had happened. Yu and Dazi sat in his seat and used his mental power to tell Zyadishan what had just happened. After hearing this, he almost threw away his rice spoon. No, we must go to assist them this afternoon and make sure that the good voice candy is delivered to Fat Tiger. Otherwise it will be a disaster. Although Yu and Dazzy didn't know why the director would have a brain twitch to call Fat Tiger the star of disaster over, for the sake of his own safety, he must find a way to make him make a normal sound. If he really can't be stopped, killing him is actually a good way for world peace. The two of them quietly made up their minds and waited for the final battle with Fat Tiger this afternoon. After school, Yu and Dazzy and Dekisugi went home as quickly as possible to put down their school bags and then rushed to Nobita's house. At this time, they actually met Nobita. Seeing how slow he was, Yu and Dazzy couldn't help but complain. "Nobita, you are too slow." Nobita panted, "I don't have time to do my homework now. Something important happened this afternoon." The two of them nodded. "We already know that Fat Tiger is going to participate in the Super Junior show, right?" Nobita was stunned for a moment, then took their hands. "You two are here for this too, right?" Zyadishan looked into his eyes. "Yes, for the sake of world peace, we must stop him." Nobita looked at them and nodded vigorously, with tears in his eyes. "Come in, my comrades." He pushed open the door and pulled Dekisugi and Yu and Dazzy in. At this time, Doraemon had no idea of the seriousness of the matter. He was still leisurely lying on the bed looking at the preview poster of the Super Junior show. "Great, my Misito Tsubasa will also participate in the Super Junior show. I must watch it this afternoon." Misito Tsubasa. Chapter 245. Who knows where the location is? They broke into the room while Doraemon was dreaming and dragged him out of the closet. "It hurts. What are you three doing? Why are you looking at me like that?" Doraemon wanted to complain, but when he saw the serious expressions of the three of them, he had to swallow his words. Nobita hugged Doraemon's head. "Listen, Fat Tiger is going to participate in the Super Junior show with extremely high ratings and sing on the show. I thought it was something else, but it turned out that Fat Tiger is going to be electrified." "What?" Doraemon's reflex arc acted, and he jumped up from the ground immediately. "Are you talking about the show with extremely high ratings, and Misito Tsubasa is going to guest star in it this afternoon?" They nodded seriously. "That's right. For the stability of all Japan, and for our lives, we must find a way to prevent the tragedy from happening." Doraemon hurriedly searched in his pocket. "Let me see, where is a good voice candy?" After searching for a long time, he finally took out a bag of pink wrapped candy from his stomach and put it on the ground. "Listen everyone, last time it was because of this good voice candy that we were able to escape." Doraemon wiped his sweat, his shaking hands showing that he was very uneasy. "But this time without this candy, I believe everyone knows the consequences." They all said that they understood that Fat Tiger's singing was not for people to listen to. "So now, we must deliver this candy to Fat Tiger." Yu and Dazzy immediately agreed. "That's right, we will go to Fat Tiger's house now. If he doesn't accept it, I will prevent him from participating in this event." Everyone silently took a step back to avoid the flames coming out of his body. The group hurried out and rushed to the Gangshin store where Fat Tiger's home was. But now only his mother was at home in the store, and Fat Tiger was gone. "Oh, you mean Zio Wu? He's going to participate in the Super Junior show today, so he's been out for a while." Fat Tiger's mother explained Fat Tiger's movements to them, and then said, "Are you here to cheer him up?" "Thank you so much." Nobita wanted to tell the truth, but Yu and Dazzy immediately covered Nobita's mouth and gestured to the talking Demushan. Zyadishan had to bite the bullet and say a few compliments. "That's right, a man as capable as Fat Tiger, of course we will support him. Then we'll leave first." After that, Yu and Dazzy led everyone away from here in a hurry. The aunt behind them waved to them and said, "Be careful on the road." They found a secluded place to discuss the next plan. Doraemon looked very bad. "What should we do? Our interception plan has failed. What other methods are there now?" Nobita sat on the cement pipe, supporting his chin with both hands. "Then we can only go to the TV station." They thought about it, and now there seems to be no other way except this method. Zyadishan looked at his electronic watch and began to explain. "It's already 4:10 now. The show will be broadcast at 6 o'clock. We still have plenty of time for the time being." Yu and Dazzy also nodded. "That's right. The question now is, who knows where that TV station is? When this question was asked, everyone present was silent for a while. Looking at their looks, Yu and Azzy had a very bad premonition in his heart. I say, you don't all know which TV station the Super Junior show is broadcast on, right? They still didn't say anything, which was considered to be tacitly acknowledging this. Yu and Azzy cast his eyes on Zayashi and waved his hands repeatedly. You know, I rarely watch TV. How can I pay attention to these? Then he looked at Nobita and the blue fat man. The two of them also shook their heads. We usually only care about whether it looks good or not. How can we know which TV station it is from? He covered his head and began to collapse. What should we do? Can we only accept our fate and endure the singing of war weapons? At this moment, Nobita had an idea. We don't know, but the person who gave us the news will definitely know. They finally reacted and said the man's name in unison. Sunia Bonacora. Yu and Azzy dragged them all the way to the door of Bonacora's house and rang their French imported doorbell. When Sunia saw them, he came down and opened the door. Why are you here? Have you solved the problem of Fat Tiger? Everyone shook their heads helplessly. No, we encountered some troubles in the process of solving it, and we need your help. Sunia immediately patted his chest and said, no problem, just tell me what help you need, I will do my best. Dekisugi walked up and briefly summarized, we want to deliver the candy to Fat Tiger, but he has gone to the TV station. Which TV station is it? Hearing this, Sunia immediately became irritable. Do you have to ask such a simple question? It's Nichime TV. It's in Tokyo. Come, I'll write you a detailed address. As he said that, he took a piece of white paper, quickly wrote an address on it, and handed it to Dekisugi. Come on, the lives of all Japanese are in your hands. Can't you be a little serious? Sunia complained loudly to them, and slammed the door. Doraemon finally breathed a sigh of relief with the new address. Okay, now that we know the address, let's fly over there with the bamboo dragonfly. Doraemon took out a bamboo dragonfly from his pocket and handed it to them. Nobita looked at the bamboo dragonfly and asked the blue fat man, Doraemon, why don't you just use the anywhere door? Anyway, we have the detailed address, isn't it faster this way? Seeing him mention this, Doraemon's big face suddenly turned red. You are talking about this because there is a problem with the handle of the anywhere door today, so I had to take it for a repair. At this time, they all felt a burst of malice from the world and shouted in unison, can you please not let down at the critical moment? At this point, there was no other way except to fly over with a bamboo dragonfly. Wearing the bamboo dragonfly, they set off from the door of Ziofu's house and went back to Deki-san's house first, because they now have to find a map first, otherwise they will get lost. Zayashi took out a Tokyo map from a book, took the note, and looked at the address, compared the addresses of their two places, and then began to calculate the time required in his heart. It's 4:30 now, and it will take us about 50 minutes to fly there, plus the extra time to find the landing address. We should be there by 5:30. After hearing Zayashin's analysis, everyone felt relieved for the time being. They used the compass to confirm the direction, and finally set sail again from the window. Chapter 246, The Great Battle. Along the way, Zayashin kept determining the direction according to the compass. Half an hour later, they successfully entered the city of Tokyo. Okay, now it's only more than 10 minutes away from there. Everyone cheer up, we will be there soon. Seeing that everyone behind him was about to fall asleep, Doraemon hurriedly asked them to pay attention. Gian and Azzy also entered the working state and began to open his eyes to look for the Rimini TV station on the ground. Not long after, Nobita successfully found the clue. He pointed to the huge sign excitedly. Look, is it that one? Everyone turned their heads happily and saw that the building had a few big words engraved on it. Rimini TV station. It should be right. We have arrived at the destination. Zayashi also compared it with the map and confirmed that it was there. They controlled the bamboo dragonfly to land on the ground and planned to enter from the main entrance. Just as everyone was about to step into the door, a loud noise suddenly came from the bank next to them. People on the street stopped and looked at the source of the sound. Help. Someone is robbing. Who stole my bag? My legs. The scene was in chaos. Dazi and Zyashin frowned, not because someone was making trouble, but because they felt the power of magic. Why would someone use magic here? And it's a robbery, isn't it too low? Dazi and Zyashin decided to put Fat Tiger's matter aside for now. Gian and Dazi turned to the two people behind him and said, Nobita, you two give us 2 good voice candies, and we will go in to find Fat Tiger later. Doraemon was a little worried, but you may be too late. Zyashin said, don't worry, I know that this program is composed of 3 parts. Fat Tiger and his friends will start at 6:40. Today they have a kendo competition and a super brain competition in front of them, so they will be in time. Doraemon handed them each a candy, and then said, we will go in first, be careful. After that, Nobita and Doraemon ran into the door next to them. The two of them took the candy just for insurance, and believed that Nobita and Doraemon could complete their tasks. After putting away the candies, the two of them ran into the bank. At this time, several people who looked like junior high school students were wearing hoods, and were threatening the staff to put money into their bags. The leader had a cluster of flames in his hand. The magic just now should have been cast by him. And as he opened the deformed door, you finally got some superpowers, but you use them to do evil? They turned their heads and looked at you and Dazi, and suddenly all became excited. Haha, we are really enemies on a narrow road. Last time, you guys hurt us so badly. After hearing this, the two were puzzled. When did these guys meet them? The leader of the other party walked forward and slowly took off his mask. Last time, you made us get beaten up by our parents, and we were also punished by school rules. You won't forget it so quickly, right? Dazi and Zyashin finally remembered that these guys were the bad boys who collected protection fees last time. Actually, they are all old acquaintances, but you guys are really stubborn. And as he moved his fingers and prepared to fight with them, Zyashin also stepped forward and said, we showed mercy last time, why don't you reflect on yourself and do some good deeds? After hearing this, the leader laughed out loud. I have never heard such a funny joke. He pointed to the money bag at the back and said, see, this is what I robbed with my power, a bag full of money. Then he pointed to Zyashin, what good can you get from doing good deeds besides getting a few thanks? People with superpowers like us should be high above and enjoy these wealth, right? Join us. If it is not to transcend the mundane and look down on all living beings, what is the use of this ability? The leader stretched out his hand to Demishin and the others, looking forward to the two superpowers joining. The staff at the back were also worried that the two of them would also go along with these junior high school students. But Zyashin refused without a second thought. It's not what you said. I want this ability to fight side by side with my partner. If it's not for protecting the people behind me, it's a waste to have this ability. Just after the two made their declarations, a mark suddenly appeared on their foreheads. The sky around them seemed to have changed. The clouds formed a vortex, covering the two people in the center. And as he looked at this strange change, and was also very confused. Because this change was not man-made, it seemed to be a manifestation of the rules between heaven and earth. Oh, the Great Deo struggle? These two little ghosts actually triggered such an event, which is really interesting. The improper voice of the soul-devouring monument came again, and as he hurriedly asked him what this thing was. The Great Deo struggle is when two people tell each other their beliefs in practicing Taoism, but their views are completely different. At this time, heaven and earth will come out to witness the fight between the two. And as he breathed a sigh of relief. Anyway, it was just to come out to witness it, so it should be nothing. But this time, I can see that Mushin should lose. And as he was puzzled, why can't Zyashin beat a person who has just learned magic? That's not the case. If they were to compete, of course he would win. But the battle of the Great Way ends with death. I don't think he will kill anyone. And as he immediately became uneasy, a man like Mushin would probably not kill him. He quickly asked the soul-devouring monument, is there no way to stop this fight? This time the old man had no choice. I can't interfere with the will of heaven and earth. The battle witnessed by heaven and earth cannot be stopped. And as he looked at the two people fighting in the middle, Zyashin had already taken an absolute advantage at this time. He silently took out the dark blade. If there was really an accident, he would chop that guy off. The lazy voice of the soul-devouring monument came. Give up your idea. Now they are actually in another space, and outsiders can't interfere. He was very anxious about the current situation. So what can we do now? Just watch them fight outside? The soul-devouring monument said. It's not completely impossible, unless that junior high school student changes his mind. Of course, this is definitely more difficult than killing him. How can a true cultivator change his mind because of a few words from others? Don't you think so? And as he also knew that this was probably impossible unless he had doubts about his beliefs, Zyadishan had already knocked the man down inside and used his mental power to suppress him to the ground, unable to move. But now he felt that he was still in another world and there was no way to go back. Chapter 247 Entering the TV station. What's going on? Why can't I get out? Is it because of him? When Chumushin was confused, he suddenly understood something. The only way is to kill him or make him give up his way. Zyadishan looked at the man on the ground and began to try to persuade him to turn back. He was still reluctant to kill people. If it was Dazuki, this person would probably be gone. The other bad boys saw that their boss was beaten up, so they wanted to use the advantage of numbers to capture Yu and Dazuki and force Chumushin to give up. But Yu and Dazuki was in a state of confusion and kicked the man 5 or 6 meters away. The others were scared when they saw this kick. Since you want to die, then go and die. With that, Yu and Dazuki began to clean up the remaining bad boys here. The boss inside was very sad when he saw his companions being destroyed outside. I'm not willing to accept this. We should be superior to others. Why are you willing to be with those ordinary people? The boss shouted out what was in his heart, and then his whole body glowed red. Since you said that you gain superpowers for protection, I don't believe that your companions will ignore you. Demishan sensed this power, which was the fire he exchanged for his own life. Zyadishan hurriedly retreated. Are you crazy? You will die like this. The leader laughed miserably. Even if I die today, I will still be a superpower. I will still be nobler than those lowly people. You have never experienced the pain of being trampled underfoot. What qualifications do you have to criticize my path? You are not qualified. After saying this, the leader turned into a ball of fire and exploded in this closed space. With his death, the surrounding space returned to normal and the green Deo seal on Zyadishan's head gradually disappeared. This is the reward for the winner. It not only makes his Deo more firm, but also greatly strengthens Zyadishan's mental strength. Yu and Dazuki's attention was attracted by the explosion, and those bad boys saw an opportunity. Hurry up, go to the TV station. There are too many people there, he can't catch up with us. He ignored the bad boys who fled to the TV station, but rushed into the center of the explosion to check on the condition of Dekisugi. Dekisugi looks fine now. After all, his mental power is not so easy to break. This level of explosion still can't hurt him. But when he saw him, he saw that his mood was a little low. Dazuki, you said that his experience is very similar to that of Nobita. Why did the two go to two extremes? He answered his question while cleaning the staff's memory in surveillance video. Because this guy's not a good thing. His character is destined to make him fall into darkness, no matter how he goes. His character is destined from birth. Even if he has not been stepped on by others, he is likely to have the same result. But Nobita is different. He is kind, although a little stupid. Many times, he is willing to sacrifice himself to help others, even if the other party is Fat Tiger who bullies him. This is the essential difference between the two of them. Dekisugi nodded. Although he was still a little sad, it was no big deal. At this moment, the soul-devouring monument suddenly extended its power and collected a soul fragment. There are fire runes and fire magic, as well as magic extraction techniques. Why is it in his soul? The soul-devouring monument explored this soul fragment that did not belong to him and exclaimed. Yu and Dazuki also remembered. This should not be the first time, right? Last time there was a homeless man who had a similar experience. He and the soul-devouring monument were both thinking about who this soul fragment belonged to. At this moment, Zyoshan suddenly said, let's go and catch those bad boys first, otherwise they are likely to cause trouble. Yu and Dazuki could only put the problem behind him for the time being. After confirming that everyone's memory was cleared, he followed him to the TV station. It was already 6 o'clock, and there was really not much time. In this way, the two of them rushed to the door of the TV station. At this time, the security guards of the building had also left their posts because of those bad boys. So this time the two people walked into the building easily without encountering any obstacles. After a brief exploration of the building, Yu and Dazzy began to assign tasks. This building has 10 floors. I will search the 4 floors below, and you will search the 6 floors above. Because there are fewer people on the upper floors, he asked Zyadishan to explore a few more floors. But he just nodded, and didn't ask Yu and Daz his reason. Dazzy immediately began to search on the 1st floor, while Zyadishan went up the stairs to the 5th floor, and began to search. At this time, Zyofu at home turned on the TV, and watched today's Super Junior show on time. Although he knew that this was very suicidal, curiosity made him want to watch it. Fat Tiger's singing performance will not start until 6:40. Before that, it seems nice to watch other people's performances. Sitting on the imported high-end sofa, Zyofu picked up his high-end snacks and juice, eating while watching the program on TV. Several bad boys on the 1st floor had been arrested by the security guards. After Yu and Dazzy confirmed that there were no omissions, he went to the 2nd floor. Get out of my way. A man who looked like a junior high school student waved an iron rod and forced several security guards to retreat. He immediately recognized that the junior high school student was one of the teenagers who escaped. After looking at the situation here, Yu and Dazzy made a judgment. These security guards can't catch him, but they should be able to delay him for a while. Then he walked a few steps to the side and stood in front of a door. This short time can do a lot of things, such as catching a criminal hiding in the room, right? The door was suddenly opened violently, and a small wooden cabinet flew towards him. Yu and Dazzy smashed the wooden cabinet into pieces with a chop, and then chased the figure that escaped. In a few seconds, he pressed the junior high school student to the ground and used his mental power to pull out the soul fragment. When the fragment was taken away, the boy suddenly seemed to have lost his strength and lay on the ground unable to speak. The bad boy over there hit 2 security guards and then ran to the other side. The 2 kids were so terrifying that even they, who had superpowers, were in a state of being crushed. Huh, can I still let you run away? Yu and Dazzy immediately chased over there, and his speed was so fast that the surrounding security guards couldn't react. Just as they passed by a room, a boy in kendo clothing came out. The bad boy immediately yelled, "The boy in front, don't block the way." The boy was frightened by the shout and just stood there motionless. But the bad boy had no mercy. When he passed by, he punched him to the ground. "You are so brave, you dare to hurt someone in front of me?" When he saw that this guy was still thinking of punching when he was being chased, he was immediately furious. "Are you arrogant or am I?" Yu and Dazzy, unable to lift the knife. When he passed by the boy, he hooked the bamboo sword on the ground with his foot. "It was my fault that he knocked you out, so I will use your bamboo sword to avenge you." After saying that, he picked up the new equipment he had just picked up and ran towards the bad boy in front again. As they chased and fled, the distance between them quickly narrowed. Seeing that he could not outrun the boy, he turned sideways and ran into a room. Chapter 248, Program Interruption. At this time, a live broadcast of a kendo competition was being broadcast in the room. The bad boy rushed over and knocked out the 2 children who were competing with 2 sticks. The person in charge immediately got angry. "What's going on? Where did this guy come from? Where are the security guards? Hurry up and maintain order." At this time, Yu and Dazzy finally came in with a bamboo sword. The bad boy's sharp turn just now made him unable to break, so he ran a little more. The bad boy saw this little devil with unknown fighting power chasing him and wanted to escape immediately, but found that there was nowhere to escape in this room. Because this room was closed, the only entrance and exit was the door just now. Yu and Dazzy slowly walked to the middle with a bamboo sword. Now he was in the blind spot of the host, so he was still directing the 2 security guards to arrest and expel him. The bad boy looked at the 2 security guards, smiled disdainfully, and flashed behind them, and knocked the security guards down with 2 sticks. Seeing this guy hurting people again, Yu and Dazzy was immediately furious. "You really don't take me seriously?" Then he picked up the bamboo sword, jumped up, and jumped the bad boy standing in the center of the stage. The bamboo sword and the iron rod collided, but they did not break, but made a sound of metal collision. Xiaofu in front of the TV saw this scene and almost choked to death on a mouthful of juice. What's going on? Didn't they go to give candy to Fat Tiger? Why did they appear on the show? Although he was shocked, Xiaofu suddenly became more interested. This should be a broadcasting accident, but I think it seems to be more interesting than the original program. After saying that, Xiaofu stuffed another piece of cake into his mouth and watched it with relish. The bamboo sword and the iron rod collided several times in the air, and Yu and as he lifted the bamboo sword up and knocked his iron rod away. Then he immediately grasped the handle of the sword with his left hand, held the sword with both hands, and chopped the bamboo sword down with force, hitting his head. This opponent, who was 2 heads taller than him, was easily beaten. Yu and as he put the bamboo sword back to his waist and used his mental power to sweep away his soul fragments. After completing the recovery task, Yu and as he planned to leave because there were still 3 people waiting for him to recover. However, the audience below was not happy and cheered for him to perform again. They all thought that this was just a match arranged by the program team. A young man sitting in the front also stood up and pointed the bamboo sword at Yu and as I don't believe you have this strength. I want to compete with you again. He didn't have the mind to do that, as he was in a hurry to recover the soul fragments. So he refused and said, "Forget it, I have something to do today. If you want to challenge, let's do it another day. I will accompany you another day." But the guy ran in front of him and became very arrogant. "I'm 11 years old and have been practicing sword for 6 years. I don't believe that I can defeat him openly. There must be an inside story. I will expose you as a liar." Seeing that he was in a posture of "don't think about leaving if you don't kill me today," Yu and as he immediately became angry. He took out his bamboo sword and made a swordplay starter. This was the position he usually took when practicing swordplay on the cloud top. Now he didn't want to hold back and planned to quickly get rid of this ungrateful guy. He was even more unhappy. "You guys don't even know the starter position of kendo, and the program team actually let you show off. Because Yu and Az's swordplay is different from the one here, this misunderstanding was caused." In the audience, his parents also began to shout loudly, "You programs with inside information, shut down quickly." The audience was also instigated by them, because if you think about it carefully, what happened just now is indeed unreasonable. How could a teenager under 10 years old defeat a junior high school student who defeated 2 security guards? So the audience below spontaneously formed a wave and began to shout that this program team had inside information and should be closed early. Suddenly, the director's face turned black. He didn't know where these people came from. And you audiences were instigated like this. You really have no self-opinion. Besides, it is obvious that the guy's not someone who can be messed with, right? Didn't you see that the security guards were knocked down in an instant? I don't want to talk about you. You, a guy, relying on your fame, dare to say that my show has inside information? Let you suffer a little. The person who came up now is the champion of the competition. There are only 3 games every week for 20 minutes to decide the winner of this month, and the 4th game is to compete with the winner of last month. This kid is the winner of the previous few months. Relying on his fame, he has gradually stopped taking them seriously. After he talked nonsense recklessly, he also showed his moves to prepare for the battle. Taunting is just verbal pleasure, and the victory in the competition is the most favorable evidence. If he capsizes at this critical moment, then what he said before will hit his face. "You fake, show me your true colors." After saying that, he attacked Yu and Dazi with the bamboo sword. Yu and Dazi stood in place and turned the bamboo sword, representing the side of the blade turned to him. When he ran to his side, his right foot suddenly took a step forward. At the same time, he tilted his body downwards, brushing against his bamboo sword to avoid the blow. Then, in this position, the bamboo sword chopped his legs, and the huge force made him kneel on one knee. Then he bent the sword back and hit him in the stomach with the handle. The boy took the blow with his stomach, and his upper body couldn't help but arch, exposing his back without reservation. Yu and Dazi raised the bamboo sword and hit him hard on the spine with the handle, knocking him down completely as a final blow. He casually threw the bamboo sword at the boy, who was already lying down. It took more than a second to defeat this kind of stuff. He was in poor condition. The scene was silent for a few seconds, and then cheers broke out that were even more enthusiastic than before. The guy's parents came over and carried their child down and left in disgrace. What he said just now was just a slap in his own face. How can he have the face to stay here now? Yu and as he also planned to leave. There were still a few people fleeing outside, and he had to go over quickly to collect the soul fragments. But the host held his hand. Hey kid, what's your name? Are you interested in participating in the next Super Junior show? Yu and as he was suddenly stunned. Super Junior show? Is this the live broadcast venue of the competition? The host smiled. It seems that this kid doesn't know anything. Yes, this is the live broadcast of the kendo competition. Then he pointed to the camera in front and said, come on, say hello to the audience. He didn't expect that he would show his face in front of all of Japan, and he was immediately embarrassed. Who wants to participate in this show? He is just a low-key magician, okay? Seeing that Yu and as he didn't respond, the host guessed that he was not good at socializing, so he decided to guide him. So, kid, what's your name? Seeing that he had put the microphone to his mouth, Yu and as he had to calm down. My name is Sakamoto Nakano. I'm 9 years old this year. Only a fool would give his real name at this time. Then he hurriedly said, sorry, my mother called me home for dinner. Goodbye. Then he rushed out of the live broadcast room. Everyone in the audience was laughing so hard, they didn't expect him to leave the show for this reason. The host also forced himself to calm down and didn't show any abnormality. A lot of accidents happened today, but we also found a true kendo genius. He is Sakamoto Nakano. In the next show, maybe we can see him again. After finally smoothing over his intrusion, the host continued, then let's go for a commercial first. Let's look forward to the next one. How much do teenagers know? Chapter 249, Intrusion, Part 2. After Ziofu saw Yu and as he beat the so-called champion with a series of moves, he happily stuffed another piece of cake into his mouth. You said this guy has a conspiracy? You are really tired of living. He is a tough guy who even wants to fight aliens. Ziofu's mother came over and took away the cake and juice in his hand. It's time to eat. Don't eat these. Ziofu had to continue watching today's Super Junior show in a depressed mood. After confirming that the commercials were switched back, the host breathed a sigh of relief and left the live broadcast room with a smile. The director was scolding the security guards below. What are you doing? You didn't even notify the intruders. And who is that Yu and as he? But no one could answer these questions for him, and the security guards just stood there without saying anything. After scolding them for a while, the director's anger was almost gone. Although there was a little trouble, at least the show effect was still good. And that kid named Yu and as he was really good at swordsmanship. He used a move he had never seen before and easily defeated that waste in 3 moves. Forget it, I'm too lazy to talk to you guys. Hurry up and go to the 6th floor and guard the show site. Of how much do teenagers know? The director wiped the sweat from his forehead, still frightened by the broadcast accident just now. It's okay if these guys broke into the kendo competition, but the knowledge competition above is absolutely not allowed. The security guards knew that this was a good opportunity for them to redeem themselves, so they agreed in unison and ran to the competition site on the 6th floor. At this time, Yu and as he was frantically cleaning up the 2 miscellaneous soldiers on the 3rd floor. After collecting their soul fragments, he went to the 4th floor to collect the last one. Unlike his smooth sailing here, Chumushin encountered some troubles. At this time, a bad boy was holding a knife on the neck of a child, threatening Zayashin not to get close. The most troublesome thing this time was that this bad boy had developed inspiration for some reason. In other words, it was almost impossible for Zayashin to use his mental power to sneak attack this person. Don't come over. If you take another step forward, I will kill him. After saying that, the bad boy stretched his knife forward a little bit. Based on this guy's reaction speed, if he attacks directly with mental power, the probability of the child being injured is more than 60%. Zayashin silently calculated in his heart what he should do to save the hostage safely. By the way, mental power and magic power are 2 systems of power. I wonder if he can sense it? Thinking of this, he used his mental power to draw out a trace of magic power from the magic stone on the necklace. The wind attribute magic power quietly circled behind him, but this time he did not notice the breeze because he had inspiration. Chumashin controlled this magic power and turned it into an air cannon aimed at his arm. At this time, Chumashin also rushed towards the bad boy, ready to grab the knife to save people. The bad boy was shocked. He didn't expect Chumashin to attack forcibly regardless of the safety of the child. Then it's not my fault. Then, the bad boy exerted force on his hand, trying to stab the knife into the child's neck. At this time, the air cannon also hit his hand and knocked his knife down. At this time, he also knew that he had been tricked and was immediately annoyed. The junior high school student kicked the boy away and ran to another passage in the house. At this time, the host had returned to the stage. He was exhausted when hosting the kendo competition just now. Now he just hoped that nothing would go wrong later. Okay, welcome back to the Super Junior show. This time, it is the long-awaited How Much Do Teens Know? Taking a deep breath to calm himself down, the host began to explain this competition. Although I have said it many times, for the sake of the audience, I will explain the rules of this How Much Do Teens Know competition again. This competition has invited 4 knowledgeable children again. They will challenge 10 questions from all over the world. Then he pointed to the prizes next to him. Based on the number of questions you challenge, you can get the prizes over there. Each group of prizes has 4 prizes. Let's look forward to how many prizes can be given out. Then, the host walked to the first door next to him. Please welcome the first child. At this time, Zyadishin had caught up with the bad boy at the end of the passage and knocked him unconscious. After that, he followed what Yu and as he said, and used his mental power to collect his soul fragments. It's finally solved. Zio-shan put the man on the ground and prepared to drag him away. At this moment, the door next to him suddenly opened. Please welcome the first child. As he said that, the host came over and stood at the door to signal Mushan to go out quickly. Zio-shan thought that the person behind him seemed to have been kicked unconscious by the bad boy, and it seemed that he had to go up himself. So Zio-shan reluctantly followed the host and stood in front of the national audience. In fact, the host was also devastated. This child didn't seem to be one of the 4 children he had seen before. What happened today? Did the goddess of misfortune stand behind him and make him unlucky today? Following the host to the center of the stage, the next step was for the host to introduce the child. Introduce your sister. I don't even know him. The host was stunned on the stage for a few seconds. The director also found that there was a problem here again and immediately wanted to strangle the security guards. He quickly gave an order through the headset. Since we don't know where he came from, let this child introduce himself. The host smiled and said, this kid, please introduce yourself to everyone. Zyadishin took the microphone. After all, he was an excellent student and was already familiar with this kind of face-to-face. He calmly told his basic information. Seeing that this child was quite cooperative, the host was relieved. Isn't it just a change of person? Just broadcast it as usual. No matter what, it is better than the previous situation. At least the restaurant was not kicked out. So, this kid, Chumashin, do you have any hobbies? Zyadishin thought for a while. Usually, I like reading, sketching, playing baseball and cooking. The host smiled and said, this kid has a wide range of interests. I wonder how confident you are about today's challenge? This time it was difficult for him. Zyadishin said unsurely, I'm not sure either. After all, the content of the question here contains too many things. Chumashin never thought that he would be on TV, so he didn't prepare for it. Chapter 250, Program Interruption, Part 3. The host didn't care. Even if this kid who suddenly appeared didn't know anything, it didn't matter. After all, there were kids who were eliminated in the first question. What's more, this kid said at the beginning that he was not sure. Even if he was eliminated at the beginning, he would have an excuse to the audience. Sunya sat cross-legged on the sofa. He was very excited now, and his legs were shaking like a motor. Are these 2 teaming up to challenge the other party? I'm really looking forward to it. It's a pity that there are no snacks. Then listen to the questions, kids. The first question is, which is the hardest popsicle in Japan? Zyadishan thought for a while and said, I had the honor of eating this thing once, and it almost knocked my teeth out. It's a Mireya red bean popsicle. The host nodded repeatedly. The answer is correct. This first question is relatively simple. Now let's listen to the second question. Everyone also said that they had no doubts about this, because the first questions are basically familiar to the public, and few people don't know the answer. Please listen to the second question. In our neighboring Celestial Empire, there is a very famous book about monkeys. May I ask, little Chumushin, do you know what this book is? Zyadishan nodded. I know. I heard Myrumat mention it to me. This book is the Celestial Empire's journey to the West, which mainly describes a monk who went to India in the West to obtain Buddhist scriptures under the escort of 4 disciples. The host was stunned. 4 disciples? How come I remember there were only 3? Zyadishan explained to the host very seriously. Yes, there are 4. But many people often forget the white horse under Tang Monk's seat. The host wiped the sweat off his face with some embarrassment. Third question. We all know that the Eiffel Tower in France is a very famous building in the world. So, may I ask, when was this tower built? Zyadishan answered without hesitation. The Eiffel Tower was built on the banks of the Seine in 1889 by the famous architect Gustave Eiffel at the time. So the Eiffel Tower is also known as the Eiffel Tower. Correct answer. This kid is really knowledgeable. He knows this so well. The host sighed a little, and then said again, now, let's listen to the next question. Yu and Dazzy had already finished dealing with the first 4 floors, and suddenly heard a familiar voice coming from the TV. He looked up. Linkei. Why is he on TV? So he opened his induction technique to explore the things on the 6 floors above. He found that Zyadishan had also beaten the remaining bad boys and recovered the soul fragments. Since he has done his job, why not wait for him under the stage? Okay, let's congratulate this kid Dekishan. He successfully answered 10 questions in a row. Zyadishan won the prize of the 10th level, an astronomical telescope. After everyone answered the questions, the host pulled everyone up to the stage to receive the award. Zyadishan was very happy when he came down the stage with the telescope. He had wanted this thing for a long time, but it cost hundreds of thousands of yen to buy it, so he had been saving money for this. He could have borrowed money from Yu and Dazzy, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. Unexpectedly, participating in this operation today would bring him an unexpected surprise. Dazzy was also waiting for Zyadishan to come out at the exit and congratulated him. I didn't expect you to answer 10 questions correctly at once. That's amazing. Zyadishan touched his head. Nothing. The questions here are relatively simple. At this moment, Zyadishan suddenly asked, by the way, why did we come here? A question pulled them back to reality from fantasy. Oh no, Fat Tiger is about to sing. Nobita and Doraemon searched the 8th floor for a long time and were about to find Fat Tiger. However, because of the previous invasion of bad boys, the security here became very sensitive and kicked them out directly. The unfortunate news is that the 2 of them didn't have time to give Fat Tiger the good voice candy. Afterwards, no matter how the 2 requested at the door, the security guards would not let the 2 suspicious element in. Ian and Dazzy and the others immediately joined forces to search for Fat Tiger's location and found that he was now in the preparation room on the 8th floor. The 2 looked at each other and immediately ran to the location of the stairs. At this moment, they heard a loud roar. The man who called out Mushin Yinke. What right did he take my son's place? Zyadishan immediately braked and pulled Yu and Dazzy up the stairs on the other side to the 8th floor. It was at this time that they met their enemy. Just as they were about to walk out of the stairs, Yu and Dazzy also heard a familiar voice. What version of Zangai? He beat my son like this. Shouldn't he be responsible? Yu and Dazzy also braked, pulled Zyadishan around from the 9th floor, avoided the minefield, and returned to the 8th floor. Damn it, did Nobita and Doraemon give Fat Tiger the golden throat? He was not sure, but from the situation they just detected, Fat Tiger was indeed in this room, and now Fat Tiger is gone. Ian and Dazzy opened the detection technique again, and saw that Fat Tiger had appeared on the stage. Dazzy and Zyadishan sat on the ground. It's all over. It looks like the hospital will be overcrowded again tomorrow. Just after Fat Tiger had finished introducing himself, Ian and Dazzy suddenly stood up. For the stability and peace of this place, I can't just give up. Xiaoshan was also infected by him, so what are you going to do now? And as he took out the wood spirit staff, don't worry, as long as a lightning bolt kills Fat Tiger, then there will be world peace. As he said, a lightning storm began to brew at the top of the staff. Xiaoshan immediately came over to snatch and his staff, to stop his crazy behavior. No, Fat Tiger is my friend after all, I won't let you do this. He glared at Chumushan fiercely. Do you want to watch everyone suffer? Xiaoshan shook his head. Forget it. Go to the side and rest. I'll take care of it this time. Then, Xiaoshan spread his mental power and began to monitor every move on the stage. Fat Tiger was already ready to start singing under the guidance of the host. Xiaoshan's eyes condensed and his mental power suddenly burst out, breaking the microphone on the stage. After Fat Tiger sang a few lines, the audience below could not hear the sound at all. The host hurried over and prepared to change a microphone for Fat Tiger. Seeing this, Xiaoshan had to use his mental power again and broke the microphone in the host's hand. The host really felt like a dog today. He was just hosting a show. Who did he offend? Seeing his behavior, and as he shook his head and said, you are only treating the symptoms. As long as the conditions are met, Fat Tiger will still sing. Let me do it. At this time, Fat Tiger was about to go backstage to change the microphone by himself. He also used his mental power to grab Fat Tiger's ankle. Ouch. Fat Tiger fell for no reason and hit his mouth on the ground. When he stood up, he found that he had spit out a tooth from his mouth, and it was still bleeding. This was because and as he used his mental power to break Fat Tiger's falling teeth. Anyway, they will grow out in time, but now you still have the mind to sing. Xiaofu outside was laughing like crazy. He didn't expect that the two of them would use such a cruel trick. Ahaha. It seems that this time, and as he is really ruthless. He even used his superpowers. At this time, Xiaofu's mother suddenly flashed behind him. Xiaofu, how many times have I told you to come over to eat? After that, Xiaofu was dragged away by his mother. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.